Hey guys, welcome to Green Bean Fiction. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku became the Verdant Analyst? Part 2, Final. This story is The Verdant Analyst by Tango 123 MP. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button, as your one like motivates me to bring more stories, and subscribe the channel if you are new so you won't miss our latest videos. The start of June came quickly after internships. Izuku had been sent pictures of his boyfriend with his hair put back, courtesy of Best Jeanist. Bakugo had been reluctant to send them, but ultimately he did, since he knew how much it would make Izuku laugh. Izuku had found out too late about the Stain incident to do anything to help. The only thing he could do now was find Stain before another person got hurt or worse. It had been boring in class for 1A from Hitoshi and Katsuki's point of view, so Izuku decided to try and sneak into the ventilation system of UA. He managed to get in, and while exploring, he found that there were rooms in the vents, actual rooms. Who uses those rooms? Ultimately, he decides to leave them alone since they are likely the territory of the rat god. I'm telling you, he was twerking. Kaminari insisted. Why won't you believe me? Todoroki doesn't understand sarcasm, Kaminari. I doubt he would actually be twerking. That boy is completely clueless when it comes to certain things, Mina said as she picked at her rice. Hitoshi happened to be walking past that very table when he heard their conversation. He turned to them, deciding to support the lightning student. He was smirking at me the other day. I even saw him do the renegade once. The renegade, Mina exclaimed, choking on her food. You've got to be kidding me. No, it's true, Hitoshi replied as he walked away to his usual seat. Kaminari quickly got up and followed him. Dude, thanks for that. They wouldn't believe me. I mean, it is true, though, Hitoshi shrugged. Really? I thought you were just saying that, Kaminari said as he sat down next to Shinso. He even said, no one will believe you, and that's true except for you, it seems. Hitoshi felt slightly puzzled about why Kaminari would want to sit next to him when they barely talked. However, he didn't mind the company since he enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure he did it to Bakugo as well, he added. Huh, wow, Kaminari replied, grabbing his chopsticks and starting to eat. The two of them enjoyed a peaceful silence until Kaminari spoke up again. Would you want to come sit at the table with me, Mina, Kirishima, and Bakugo? We could use a +1. Huh, oh, sure, Hitoshi responded, feeling a fluttery sensation in his chest. He couldn't show how much he would love to hang out with them. I've got nothing to lose. They chatted about various topics until the bell rang. It was time for class. Hitoshi had fun and couldn't deny that he enjoyed the time spent with Kaminari. He would have been lying if he said otherwise. When Hitoshi gets home that day, he acts as he normally does, even if there is a powder keg about to explode inside him, figuratively. Hey, there's my favorite son. How did the rest of your day go? Hazashi asks, putting some dishes in the sink to wash. Hitoshi flops onto the couch. Good, he says in a tired voice, hoping to sound normal enough. There's udon in the fridge if you want some, Hazashi tells Hitoshi, who nods in response. The door opens. I'm home. Shota grumbles exhaustedly. Hey hun, Hazashi says with a smile. There's udon in the fridge. Thanks, Zashi. Aizawa flops onto the couch next to Hitoshi. How was your day, kid? Fine, Hitoshi says in a monotone voice. Doesn't sound fine, Shota says, looking at his kid. He turns to Hazashi and signs something, though Hitoshi can't see it from where he is. Hazashi responds, yes, I agree. Less than I guess that means I won't get to know what they said. Greater than Hitoshi thinks. I'm going to head to my room. Hitoshi sits up in his seat. If you need anything, we will be right here, Hazashi says, smiling brightly. Hitoshi walks to his room, shutting the door behind him. Then before he can go crazy, he hops in the shower. Shota hears the shower turn on. Something happened that he's not telling us. He's definitely been acting off since I got home. Yeah. There's a pause before Hazashi continues. I wish he'd tell us, Yadig. We can't help if we don't know what's up. He has been alone for a while. Shota reminds him. He's been overlooked and forgotten for a long time. He's used to doing things alone, handling it on his own. Hazashi's cheeks puff out in gloomy acceptance. Yeah, but he's not anymore. He doesn't have to handle things alone. Not much we can do about it, Shota says, getting up from the couch. But there is, Hazashi says, accidentally turning his quirk on at the realization. Sorry. Shota looks confused, so Hazashi continues, remember when you had bad days? He smiles. We would go to that beach. Dagoba, the one with all the trash? Shota asks, raising an eyebrow. Not anymore. Someone cleaned it. Hazashi beams. Seriously? That's insane, he says in response. Hazashi nods. What do you think? We could bring him there. Yeah, that sounds like something fun. I think he would enjoy that. Shota says, smiling fondly. Hazashi starts walking towards Hitoshi's room with Shota by his side. They had heard him come out of the bathroom moments before. He was now in his room. Hazashi is about to knock when they hear Hitoshi speak. This stops Hazashi in his tracks. Hey. Was he talking to them? It was okay. What about you? How's your day been? Shota shakes his head at Hazashi. Less than Hitoshi's on a phone call. Greater than, he signs. You what? Are you kidding me? They hear him stand up. That's dangerous. What if you had gotten caught? Caught? The two pros look at each other confused. You don't want me telling your boyfriend? Hitoshi says playfully. They hear him huff and walk to the side of the room. Should have known you already told him. They listen as Hitoshi chuckles and continues the conversation. You know that, kid? Hitoshi asks the person on the phone. Yeah, him. Well, he asked if I wanted to sit with him along with some others at their table. Actually, I think you know them. There is a pause and Hazashi and Shota are getting bored. Well, for one, they are Bakugo's friends, but also I think the ones who followed you that day that you were at the mall. Another pause. Yeah, them. Exactly. Hey, I'm gonna go, but we should hang out soon. Maybe I'll visit you at the cafe. Then it clicks in Shota's head, the person Hitoshi is talking with is that kid from the cafe, Akari. He's talking with Akari, from the Vigilant Cat Cafe. I remember when I went there before, the two were very friendly. Shota signs to Zashi, who nods. They hear their son say goodbye and hang up. Hazashi takes that as his sign to knock on the door. Come in, Hitoshi says from his desk. Hey kiddo, Hazashi says, walking into the room, Shota behind him. Hey, Hitoshi responds, looking over at the two. We were wondering if you wanted to come with us to the beach. Shota says not want to take too long since the sun would be going down in the next few hours. Hitoshi shrugs and then answers, sure. Great. Hazashi claps his hands together. Let's go. We have a great place to chill out. He says triumphantly. Should I bring anything? Shinso asks. It was getting late already. No, you're good, lil listener. Hazashi smiles warmly. The family hops in the car, and after a short drive, they arrive. Hitoshi steps out of the car first, taking a second stare out. Whoa, Shota says in awe as he steps out of the car. Yeah, it's changed a bunch since we last came, Hazashi says, being the last one out. Huh, Hitoshi raises an eyebrow in curiosity. When did you last come here? Pretty sure it has been like this for a while. We were your age actually. We used to come here with a good friend of ours. Hazashi says cheerfully. Follow me. Okay. He turns to Shota. Is that the friend that is in the picture? Picture? Shota questions as they follow behind Hazashi. The one at the end of the hallway. The kid with the glowing blue hair. Hitoshi asks. Oh, right, that. Yes, that's him all right. Hazashi says glumly before turning to them as bright as ever. We're here. There is only a tree from what Hitoshi can see, one very thick tall tree. It was kind of strange, to be honest. Just follow our lead, Shota grumbles, walking down to the roots of the tree. Shota does some kind of thing with his feet. If Hitoshi didn't know better, he would say it was tap dancing. He sees his mentor, Dewalcock, into the tree trunk. Instead of just running into it as he had expected, he goes through and into the tree. Hitoshi's eyes widen and he turns to Hazashi, who only grins in response. He is grabbed by the arm and the two make their way towards the tree trunk. Ready? Hazashi asks, only giving a second for Hitoshi to nod. They go right through the tree trunk and inside. Ever wonder what the inside of a tree looks like? Well, here's your answer. Like a wooden room. Took you too long enough, Shota says from above, making Hitoshi look up. Stairs go up the inside of the tree. Hitoshi had been too busy spiraling to notice before. Whoa. Yeah, I know, right? It's been a while since we came here, but it's a cool spot. Hazashi says, guiding Hitoshi to the steps. How did you even find this place? Hitoshi says in awe as he walks up. Actually, it's a funny story. One day Shota and Oboro came to this beach with me. Oboro had bet Shota couldn't tap dance in the sand, and although Shota here doesn't like betting, he hates losing bets even more. Shota had shown he could do it right in front of this very tree. When he was done we were chatting and Shota leaned back into the tree only to fall right through. Hizashi says dramatically, "You can tap dance?" Hitoshi asks Shota as they finally reach the top of the stairs. "My parents made me take lessons," Shota grumbles. The top of the stairs was connected to a small floor with a pole so you wouldn't fall down. There were windows and curtains. Hizashi moved the curtains to show that it wasn't actually windows but a glass sliding door. "Awesome." Hitoshi paused and then turned to his guardians. "Why don't you guys come more often? This place is amazing." The two adults pause before Shota speaks, finally breaking the silence. "Our friend, Oboro, he passed away when we were your age. We came here almost every day after school, just to see the sunset." Hitoshi, realizing his mistake, speaks. "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's fine, bud, you didn't know. How could you?" Hizashi says, ruffling the teen's hair. They open the door which leads to a deck, a large deck. "How did no one notice this?" Hitoshi says in awe. "They can't notice what they can't see," Hizashi says, stepping onto the deck. Shota steps onto the deck, gesturing for Hitoshi to follow. "Yes, this tree is so massive that this platform is covered by its leaves and branches. This is amazing. Wow," Hitoshi says, looking at the sun. It had just recently begun to set. Hitoshi may have realized just half a second ago that Oboro was the ghost living in their classroom, but now he has come to understand that the kid from the picture, the one with blue hair, was also Oboro. It seems that dead people can have a significant impact on the lives of the living. Baku Squad Original Chat. Alien Queen Pinky. "Hey Kaminari, you mentioned it's your birthday on the 29th. How do you normally celebrate?" Pikachu Chargebolt. "Normally I spend the day with the fam. Why?" Alien Queen Pinky. "We have to celebrate. You can spend the day with your family, but this next weekend we have to hang out. Any place you want to go in particular?" 2 hearts. Pikachu Chargebolt. "How about the arcade?" Alien Queen Pinky. "Sounds good. Right at Kachan - Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite and at Red - The Rock Riot." Red the Rock Riot. Right. Can't wait. Dude, Kachan Great Explo C. Whatever, just send me the time and address for the place. Red the Rock Riot. "What do y'all want for your birthday, man?" Pikachu Chargebolt. "I honestly have no clue." Loudly crying. "Whatever you think." Red the Rock Riot. "Okay, sign." Kaminari Surprise Chat. Alien Queen Pinky. Added Hitoshi Shinso to the chat. Alien Queen Pinky. Changed Hitoshi Shinso's name to Insomniac Nighthide. Kachan Great Explo C. What the hell is this chat for? Kaminari Surprise Chat. The fuck? Red the Rock Riot. Oh, are we making a surprise for Kaminari's birthday? Alien Queen Pinky. Precisely. Insomniac Nighthide. It's Kaminari's birthday. When? Alien Queen Pinky. June 29th, but we will celebrate early this next weekend. Insomniac Nighthide. Okay, sounds good to me. Alien Queen Pinky. Not so fast. Insomniac Nighthide. Reply Insom. Right pointing arrow. Alien Queen Pinky. You're the surprise. Insomniac Nighthide. Say what now? Kachan Great Explo C. WTF are you planning? Red the Rock Riot. I'm so manly confused. RN. Alien Queen Pinky. So, it's obvious that Kaminari likes Shinso. Red the Rock Riot. Wait, what? Insomniac Nighthide. Really? Alien Queen Pinky. Yes, moving on. We could surprise Kaminari. After the arcade we could go to a cafe and then Shinso would meet us there and we say surprise. That can be out big surprise for him. Red the Rock Riot. Oh, that sounds super manly. I'm sure he would love that. Kachan Great Explo C. Sure, I'm sure he'll freak. It's perfect. Insomniac Nighthide. Okay, send me the location and time. Alien Queen Pinky. Sent a location. Here at 3 p.m. Insomniac Nighthide. Okay. Hitoshi had woken up the day of the party and realized he had nothing to give. Quickly he rushed out of bed and decided he should go out to look for a present. Before he could get out the door he noticed that first, he had no money, second, What the heck would a great guy like Kaminari even want? Oh, hey kiddo. Didn't expect to see you up so early. Coffee. Hizashi says, a pot of coffee in his hand. Sure. Hitoshi says, still panicking. Hizashi pours 2 cups of coffee. What's got you so stressed this beautiful morning? He takes the coffee. You know how I was invited to Kaminari's birthday? Yeah, Hizashi says, raising an eyebrow. Well, I realized I don't have a present, Hitoshi says in defeat. There is a pause as Hizashi sips his coffee. Well, that's no problem. Why don't we go shopping together? Wait, what? Hitoshi says, looking up at his guardian. Yeah, I know some great places that teens like. I'm sure you'll find something. Hizashi says brightly. He is happy about the kind gesture, but he has no money. He had been used to taking from his foster parents. Hitoshi wilts, but I don't have money. Don't worry about it, honey, that is something your parents should always provide for you. And by being for dad, I now have that responsibility. Hizashi chugs him coffee. Now let's go. Hitoshi drinks what is left of his coffee while his pa talks with his dad about them leaving. He heads to the door and slips on his shoes. He waits a minute more before Hizashi comes charging out of the room. Run, Toshi. He yells using his quirk. Hitoshi's confusion only goes on for a second before he sees Shota Aizawa. Shoot, had Hizashi woken the beast? He quickly steps out of the door and runs towards the car to wait. He figured they would likely take the car instead of the train. After a few minutes, Hizashi comes huffing towards the car. I lost him. They get in the car as Hizashi regains his breath. Damn, that man is too fast for his own good. He grumbles. You would think he had a speed quirk or something, but no. It's all because of chasing those vigilantes every night. At the store, Hitoshi walks through the many aisles while Hizashi looks for the infamous jelly pouches that his husband adores oh so much. Hitoshi was about to give up when he saw the fidgets. Seeing this reminded him of all those times he had seen Kaminari fidgeting. If Hitoshi didn't know better, he would say Kaminari had ADHD or autism but was likely undiagnosed. He knew this because of his foster family. They had a relative who was autistic and his foster mom had ADHD. He checked through the aisle until his eyes landed on a set. The set came with an awesome necklace that was especially stylish and had a fidget as the charm. It also came with a bracelet that matched. The set had some other cool fidgets, though they were just regular stuff. Hitoshi met up with Hizashi, who pointed out the present and told him he made a good choice with it. Hizashi got the groceries while they were out, and by the time they left it was already 2:30. You gotta go, don't you kiddo? Hizashi says, putting the groceries in the car. Oh right, I think I am just going to take the train since it's a 2-minute walk from here and home is the opposite way of where I am going. He says, holding the now wrapped present. He got it wrapped in the store. Hizashi nods proudly. Sounds good to me. Stay safe kiddo. Yeah, I'll see you later. Hitoshi says with a small smile. Whoa, this is a nice cafe. Kaminari exclaims. Chose it with you in mind. Mina says happily. The group sat down at one of the tables that float. It was a cool place and very high tech, with the owner having a technology quirk. No one knows what the quirk quite was. You ready for presents, man? Kirishima says with a manly grin. Great idea. We can do them while we wait for our drinks. Kaminari says with a huge smile. Okay. Close your eyes, Mina says in an excited tone. Okay. He says, a bit nervous. Bakugo, being the closest to where Shinso had just walked in, signals for him to come to the table. The group makes space for him, but Kaminari, being impatient, has to ask, can I open my eyes? Not yet, dumbass, Bakugo says, and finally, Shinso sits down. Mina nods to Shinso, who then speaks, open your eyes. Who? Kaminari starts to speak only to be cut off when he sees Shinso. Shinso. What are you doing here? Happy birthday, Kaminari. Also call me Hitoshi, Shinso says with a small yet heartwarming smile. Oh okay. Kaminari is still clearly processing, plus the smile Hitoshi gives him leaves him a stuttering and flustered mess, from embarrassment of course. How would you feel if your crush was suddenly in front of you and you made yourself look like a complete fool? The group laughs, though Hitoshi makes eye contact with Kaminari and it makes quite the awkward second for them both. Okay, well now it's time for actual presents. Mina declares, putting her gift on the table. Sounds good, Kaminari says, overjoyed. First, here is a card from the class. We always do these for birthdays, so here ya go. Mina says, handing the oversized card to him. It was filled with birthday wishes and sweet notes. That alone made Denki Kamenai swell up with joy. If anyone asks, no, he did not cry. The first present he opens is Mina's. She gives him a Pikachu-themed pencil bag that comes with pencils and pens, each with electric-type Pokemon on them. The second present he opens is Bakugo's, who got him a book on cool projects to do with lightning. Not sure how he found it, but Kaminari was grateful for the unique gift. The third gift is Kirishima's, a game from America called Throw Throw Burrito. Luckily it was translated into Japanese. Shinso's was the last to be opened. The wrapping was neat, with a beautiful blue and black pattern, and when the birthday boy opened it he stared for about 2 minutes. This made Shinso scared he didn't get a good gift, or that Kaminari simply didn't like it. You noticed? Kaminari says to Shinso. Oh, well, you fidget a lot and I thought maybe you had ADHD or autism, since I know people who do have it and you have some of the symptoms. I just saw this and thought you would like it. The necklace and bracelet are cool. Since when had Hitoshi ever rambled like that? He must have picked it up from Izuku, because he sees Bakugo's face out of the corner of his eye, a face that is totally saying, you got that from the nerd, didn't you? Kaminari puts on the bracelet. I love it. Thanks, Hitoshi. Hitoshi almost flinches. Will you help me put on the necklace? Sure, Hitoshi says nervously as he takes the necklace from the boy's hands. Here are your drinks, would you like to order? The server says to the group as Hitoshi puts the necklace on his cough. It seems someone's been busy, Aizawa says, jumping onto the rooftop. Mind telling me what's going on and why every underground pro has been reporting you, saying you have been harassing the villains you take down? I always do that, plus they deserved it. Verdant huffs. Aizawa sighs and continues, you are hurting them more than usual. Verdant scoffs and turns to scan a different alley. I don't care. You can trust me, kid, I'm here for you. He takes a step next to the vigilante. I can help you with whatever is going on, Aizawa says, placing a hand on the vigilante's shoulder. Verdant flinches away, his attention turning to Eraserhead. Kid, don't. Verdant says in a tone that Aizawa had never heard the kid use. You don't know anything about my fucking life, so just leave it. I just want to help you get through whatever is going on. Aizawa insists, stepping closer to the vigilante whose eyes track his every move. I won't hurt you. I want to protect you, kid. I know you won't hurt me, all right. He bursts out, tears threatening to spill. Whoa, calm down, Aizawa says, looking the kid in the eyes. Leave me alone, the vigilante shouted, struggling against Aizawa's firm grip. Why won't you just let me go? He cried, finally wrenching free from the pro's grasp. Without hesitation, the vigilante kicked Eraserhead in the stomach, sending him stumbling. Then, Verdant took off, sprinting faster and faster until even Aizawa couldn't keep up, exhaustion forcing him to stop. Principal Nezu is terrifying, Izuku comes to learn. Not only is the principal terrifyingly smart, far above genius level, but the man also knows everything, not quite, about everyone. The fifth time Izuku decided to visit Ua in the vents was a week after the first. He was finally getting the hang of navigating the whole thing when he had seen him. Principal Nezu had been at his desk, writing an email when Izuku peered through the vents. Izuku quickly moved along, but it seemed that one of the various animals that made up the rat god had good hearing. After only 10 minutes, the vent underneath him opened, and Izuku dropped through, landing straight into a bean bag. Izuku looked around until his eyes landed on the principal. Hello there, Izuku Shigaraki. This is late since it was Christmas and New Year. I apologize. Izuku looked around until his eyes landed on the principal. Hello there, Izuku Shigaraki, Nezu says from a chair across the room, and Izuku freezes. He sits there, on the bean bag, frozen stiff. And he looks at Izuku and Izuku looks at him. This prolonged eye contact lasts a while and Izuku doesn't notice that he is not in costume. Izuku didn't notice that Nezu could now find him with the skills he has. He could find Yamikumo. How do you know that name? Izuku says slowly, cautiously. It's your name, isn't it? I couldn't meet with you if I didn't know your name. Nezu sips tea that came out of seemingly nowhere. Now that Izuku has recovered from the first moment, he notices. He noticed that they were in a room that was not on the floor plans. Yes, he checked them. How many were there of these? Was it just this one? Izuku stares at the principal. What do you want with me? That is very simple. I would like to help you destroy the man who was after you. Nezu says, something close to malicious intent in his eyes. And who would that be? Izuku asks, though he knows exactly who that is. He just needs to know what Nezu knows. A man that I am quite sure was your boss at some point. Would that be correct? Izuku is still, and the silence is even more so. Something like that. I see. Distantly someone puts their hands over their eyes. Are you perhaps related to the villain known as Tamura Shigaraki? Perchance. And yes, he did just say that. Distantly someone says, you can't just say perchance. How exactly would you want to help me destroy him? Nezu smiles, which by the way is unsettling to see, by giving you access to the resources you need. That was not what Izuku had ever expected Nezu to say, and all he could do is sit and stare. I don't expect an answer yet, but if you decide then you can come back here. I am sure you know the way. Nezu takes out a remote and presses a button, and the vent opens back up. If not, I am sure I'll find a way to contact you. Let me get this straight. You are from London and you moved here with your family when you were young because your dad had a job opportunity. Izuku points at Irene. And you two were born here, looking towards Tango and Celeste. But your parents came here from California, and they originally moved to rebel against their parents. He points towards Celeste. And your mom is from Argentina and then went to California because of the school where she met your dad on a trip, and then they met Celeste's parents and then they all moved here. Izuku points towards Tango, trying to wrap his head around everything. Pretty much. Celeste says with a shrug. But Amane, you are from Japan, or that's what you think? Your family as well? Izuku asks, to which Amane nods. Yeah, well, Celeste's parents came back here because of the family business. Tango clears the whiteboard. What did I miss? Irene steps into the room holding a tray with drinks and snacks. Ooh, snacks. Tango jumps out of her seat, bounding towards Irene. Yeah, my mom insisted I bring these to you guys, Irene says as she sets the drinks and snacks on the table in the center of the room. Your mom seems nice, Amane says with a smile and picks a few grapes from the fruits. Irene nods. So, Izuku, now that everyone is here, are you good to start? Celeste says, taking a sip of her soda. Yeah, sure. Izuku scans the room looking at his friends. He sighs. Okay, well, I may or may not have run into Principal Nezu, and he may or may not know who I was. Tango choked on the drink she had just sipped. Irene pats her back. Wow. Amane pauses eating their grapes. Not what I expected when you said you had something we all needed to discuss. How exactly did this happen? Celeste sips more of her soda loudly. Well, you see, I was in the ventilation system of UA. The whole group looked shocked, and, well, I fell and he was there and he knew who I was. He said, Izuku Shigaraki, and it scared the living shit out of me. Silence. More silence. What? Well, first, why the hell would you sneak into UA? Celeste says in the tone of voice a teacher would use when upset with their students. Second, didn't you say your name was Izuku Midoriya? Izuku shrinks. Right, yeah, sorry again. Shigaraki is my dad's last name and, well, he called me by that last name. Oh, Celeste thinks that she should have known, but no, sorry. It's okay. Izuku says, looking at his hands. I should have told you guys, you deserve to know. Well, let's talk. Tango announces loudly, breaking the tension in the room. Right. Irene quickly agrees with Amane, nodding. Amane stands up and walks to the whiteboard. They grab a marker. So let's go over what we know. Izuku, can you tell us exactly what happened? Yeah, I can. He looks over at Amane and takes a deep breath. Well, I was exploring the vents as I said. You're the imposter. Tango says with a playful grin, hoping to lift everyone's spirits. Unfortunately, they all give her a blank stare. Okay, not the best time for jokes, got it? She laughs embarrassedly. After a moment more, Izuku starts again. Anyways, I was exploring when the vent underneath me fell, and so did I. I landed in a bean-bag chair right in front of the principal, and he said, "Hello there, Izuku Shigaraki," which is something only my father and those close to him would call me. Okay, so then how did he know that name? Irene asks, thinking of possibilities. Izuku snaps his finger at Irene. Exactly what I said. He said that he needed to know my name to meet with me, which makes no sense. He wouldn't tell me, but I figured that likely my father finally realized that I was alive and put a price on my head. The group looks worried. Then Amane asks, does that mean you'll have bounty hunters chasing you? Izuku nods. Yeah, probably, but there are also villains involved. Since my dad likely has a picture of me that goes with this bounty, people know what to look for. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw my face on a wanted poster in the sketchy parts of Japan. Nezu probably discovered the bounty and saw me in the vents without my noticing. Well, that sucks, Celeste says blankly. So, what happened after that? After thinking for a moment about the incident, he continued, well, he said he wanted to help me take down All for One. He claimed he could provide me with the resources I needed and mentioned that he suspected I had worked for him in the past. He also asked if I was related to Tamura Shigaraki, to which I responded, perchance. You can't just say perchance. Celeste and Amane say simultaneously. Celeste grins. Jinx. Irene turns to Izuku. Continue, Izuku. Well, he said I could take some time to think. And that was all. I just left the way I came. Izuku shrugs. Didn't he say he wanted to help? Isn't that a good thing? Tango inquired, curiously as she looked at Izuku. Amane takes a deep breath and then without pausing he starts. Principal Nezu's quirk and high specs grants him enhanced intelligence, analytical abilities, and exceptional problem-solving skills, allowing him to process information and strategize at an incredibly high level. This quirk enables him to understand complex situations quickly and make sound decisions, which is especially useful in leadership and crisis scenarios. So I wouldn't be so trusting because he is smart enough to come up with a plan for basically anything. Celeste, dumbfounded like the rest of the group, says humorously, what are you? Encyclopedia. I couldn't have said it better myself. That is why we are notebook buddies, Izuku states, quite satisfied. You should consult with your boyfriend, Irene says after recovering from the dictionary reading. Izuku bites his lip. Maybe not. He is already at risk with knowing about my past and all of our shit, so knowing more will only worry him, which would lead to unwanted attention and questions for the both of us. I'll tell him after my father is gone maybe. Like Nezu said, you have time to think about it. Maybe you could find a way to ask Eraserhead without asking him. He always has good advice. Tango says, reaching for some Pocky. I guess I could. Izuku thought about it. It was a good idea, but the only problem was how would he ask that without letting too much information slip. Akari Monka, who brought Aizawa his coffee, is the main suspect in the Verdant Analyst's case file. He fits the suspect's age range and height, and he has a similar voice. Aizawa even overheard him call someone Kachan, although he can't remember who that was. This connection is significant because both Verdant and Akari have someone close to them whom they refer to as Kachan. Since this name is relatively rare, it stands out to Aizawa. It's the only time he has heard someone use it. Aizawa had searched the public records for information on Akari Monka. Akari Monka, age 23, sex male, quirk -8. The quirk causes the user to appear 8 years younger. That would be an easy way to fake your age, Aizawa thought, or maybe that really is Verdant's quirk. Could this seriously be him? Known relatives: Saotome Monka, deceased. Current place of residence: Maneki Komi Apt. Room 32, Musudafu, error code 400, please try again. Zashi, did you turn the Wi-Fi off? Aizawa asked his husband, who had just walked into the room. No. Why? Your computer not working? Yamada asks, walking over to the fridge. What does error code 400 mean? Aizawa asks, since he sincerely has no clue. No clue, Yamada says, grabbing some coffee jelly out of the fridge. You want some? No, I'm good, Aizawa states, trying to finish what he was doing. What the hell was going on? Why was it giving him this error code? However, he did have what he needed. I'm going to check up on a lead for a case of mine. But it's the weekend show. Then Yamada whispers, plus we have to find something to do for our Moonlight, the kiddo's birthday in 2 days. Right, well, it's important. It's on Verdant's case. Aizawa closes his computer. Oh, you have a lead on the little fellow? Yamada asks, now clearly intrigued. Aizawa sighs. It may be nothing, but I have a feeling this one will pan out. Fine, fine, you can go, Yamada declares dramatically, and Aizawa rolls his eyes. Akari Monka, Aizawa says, knocking on the door. This is Aizawa Shota, is anyone home? Aizawa distantly hears someone calling out, coming. Just a second. Before hearing the sound of running, the door opens exuberantly and a pale and disheveled old woman steps into view. Hello there, how can I help you? Pardon me, what is your name? Aizawa says calmly, yet he can't help but feel confused. My name is Monka Saotome, what's it to you? The woman says, now a bit protective. I am here to discuss one Monka Akari. Do you know him? Aizawa says questioningly, and the woman's eyes widen. Come in, she says, and Aizawa obeys, stepping inside. She looks around before closing the door. I'm assuming you know him. Is he your son? Aizawa says, knowing that her being his mother was the most likely scenario, plus it says that she is the only known relative. He's my brother. The old woman speaks tiredly. Many people mistake me for his mother because my quirk makes me look older. This makes sense. The two of them have quirks that change their appearance, making them look a different age than they are. Genetically speaking, it would work. I see, Aizawa says plainly. Oboro puts his hands over his eyes as the tradition goes. So, what did you need to discuss? Did he get in trouble? He must have if you're coming to me, she says, wanting to get over with the conversation. Come sit, she states, gesturing to the couch. Aizawa sits down while Saotome sits in the chair across from him. Well, no. First of all, my name is Aizawa Shota and I am working with the Musudafu City Police Department. I apologize for not introducing myself earlier. Aizawa says with a slight bow. Your brother is suspect in a case that I am working. Her eyes widen. Oh shoot, did he hurt anyone? What did he do? As I said, he is only a suspect, nothing for sure. Have you heard of the Verdant Analyst? Aizawa says, not really wanting to explain. Yes, the one from that vigilante group, the birds or something. Saotome says, squeezing her eyes closed and clearly thinking hard. The ducklings, Aizawa offers. She straightens up at the name. Ah yes. That's the one. Could I maybe see his room? Maybe there is a clue as to if he is verdant or not. Aizawa asks only to receive a confused look. Saotome tilts her head in confusion. What do you mean? He doesn't live here, she states, perplexed. Did he ever live here? Aizawa is uncertain about this now. She shakes her head. No, he has been traveling for 4 years now. The last place that he lived that I can remember was some small town near New York. I only moved here 5 years ago. Are you sure? When was the last time you heard from him? Aizawa questions. She looked up at him. I couldn't say for sure, but I think it was near his 23rd birthday. I called him on his cell and we chatted for a short while before he had to leave due to work. It was around March and he was in California working a job in LA. That was strange. Aizawa remembers seeing Akari almost every day in March as well, and there had never seemed to be a time for him to leave unless he lied to his sister. Oh, what was his job again? Right, he's an actor. Not too known, but since he has a mature mind but the body of a 15-year-old, it makes things easier on producers looking for teen actors. That way they get their content without having to work with a rebellious teen. She sighs. I just wished I could stay in contact with him. Most people don't even know he has a sister. I see. I think that's all I needed to ask you, but before I leave, Aizawa pulls out his phone and scrolls for a second. Have you ever seen this person? He turns the screen to the woman. No, she says, and there is no trace of that being a lie, but how could she not recognize her own brother? Unless that wasn't him. Thank you, Monka-san. Aizawa bowed and turned away, walking out the door with an annoyed look, not that the nice woman would see it. Happy birthday, kid. Happy birthday. His parents say as confetti is popped at him. It was a beautiful morning. The calendar marked July 1st. Hitoshi stares. Happy birthday. He looks around the room, spotting presents and balloons, even a sign with the words, Happy birthday Hitoshi, on it. What the hell was going on? You good Moonlight? Hazashi asks, walking to his side. Shota follows. What's wrong? What are you two doing? What is all this? And Hitoshi is genuinely confused. It's your birthday surprise, Hazashi shouts. He said, that can't possibly be right. Where are all the chores? Why is my name there and not both your names? There was a pause, The two parents looked at their ray of moonlight. Hazashi snaps out of it and turns to Hitoshi. It's not our birthday moonlight, it's yours. Don't worry about chores, this is your day. Hitoshi stares at the sign with his name. He was more than confused. It's all reversed, he says in a hushed tone. Ignoring what he heard, Shota continues his husband's thought. Your birthday is a celebration of your birth on this planet. You're making it seem like he's an alien. Hazashi slaps Shota's head playfully, at which Hitoshi laughs. I guess I never thought of it like that. My parents had always said it was a day to celebrate the people who take care of you, well, unless you don't live with them. Then it's about yourself since you're taking care of yourself. But when I told them that wasn't how it was for other people, they had explained it was a family tradition. Family traditions are sacred, so I just went along with it. Hitoshi says with a small smile. Well then, I guess it's going to have to be our mission for you to have the best birthday ever, Hazashi announces using his radio host voice. First, we have a present that cannot wait. Shota now has a small smile, quite similar to his son's. Hazashi claps his hands together. Oh, yes. Come, it's in the closet. The two adults lead their unknowing son towards the closet. Hazashi places a hand on Hitoshi's shoulder. Go on, open it. Okay. Hitoshi honestly had no clue what to expect, but it was definitely not what he found. After walking in, it only takes him half a second to see the striped ball of fur sleeping curled up in a ball on the floor. Happy birthday, kid, Shota says from behind him, and Hitoshi can't help but think he sounds proud. Hitoshi approaches the cat, and after taking a few steps it looks up at him, its green eyes vibrant in the sun. It was a Maine Coon cat, still a kitten judging by the size. It was a ball of fur. Smiling, Hazashi tells Hitoshi, we didn't name him, we wanted you to choose. Hitoshi already has a name, one he had reserved for that one day he would finally adopt a cat. It was the name of the first cat he had ever met. It had been a Maine Coon cat just like this one, though the colors were different. The old cat had been abused by its owner. Hitoshi had seen it one day and managed to use his quirk on the hostile man, but he was too late and the cat passed away in his arms. Hitoshi reaches out a hand and the cat sniffs it. He then pets it after getting a slow blink of approval from the cat. The cat licks his arm as Hitoshi pets him, and his parents coo at the adorable sight. Kazooie, he says to the cat. Kazooie, good choice, kiddo. Very original, Hazashi says to his kid. Any reason for choosing that name? Aizawa asks, smiling warmly. Hitoshi shrugs, smiling at the cat. It just felt right. Hazashi ruffles Hitoshi's hair. Thank you. The rest of the day was spent eating Hitoshi's birthday cake, which was tiramisu, opening presents and playing with Kazooie. It was delightful, the best birthday Hitoshi had ever experienced. Closing parenthesis, opening parenthesis, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, closing parenthesis, opening parenthesis. Katsuki can't say he enjoyed the final exams because he simply did not. He had been paired up with Shinso, and they had gone against All Might. All Might is a tough enemy to defeat, but having a mind control quirk makes things easier. Shinso had used his quirk on All Might before Katsuki even got to land a blow. He didn't get to show how strong he is. Instead, Shinso showed how useful his quirk is. Katsuki got angry and used his quirk on their teacher, which snapped him out of the trance and made it seem like Katsuki was trying to fail. They still won. They still passed. Katsuki still felt like he failed. Failed at the one thing he was supposed to be good at. The cheering, the congratulations. They were minor, but that just made it worse, so much worse. It was too much. Why did he think he could do this? He clearly could not. He wasn't strong enough. Not smart enough. Too weak. Too angry. Too much. Katsuki, your friend is here. Get your ass down here. His mother yells. He distantly senses himself standing up, very distantly. The door opens, or maybe it closes, and now he feels a giant weight. It's weighing him down. He feels warm, and he thinks his hands are starting to sweat. Kachan. Smash. His hand is throbbing with pain. There on the ground lays his boyfriend, the love of his fucking life. He lays there, nose bleeding. He falls to the ground, clutching his chest. Then warmth engulfed him. But this time it was a sweet warmth. Had he hurt the one person who made his life all that much better? He closes his eyes and when he opens them again he realizes all that had happened. I'm sorry. It's okay. Now he notices. He notices the blood on Izuku. The blood was his responsibility. It shouldn't have been there in the first place. But it was. And shit, it was everywhere. Izuku stands up and reaches into his pocket. Lucky me, I always bring some of my meds. He smiles and oh how Katsuki wished he could bottle that smile to take it with him wherever he went. Do you want to have a get-together with your friends? Aizawa asks. It's been a week. Normally this is the time to have one, pretty sure. Hitoshi hums. Oh yeah, Kaminari had one. Maybe I could have my friends come to the Vigilant Cat. What do you think? That's a great idea, Moonlight. Hazashi says. Aizawa nods. How about this Friday when school gets out? Hitoshi hugs them both. Sure. Thank you both. I'll text my friends. As Hitoshi hugs Aizawa, Hazashi makes eye contact with him and nods approvingly. New chat. Hitoshi Shinso added Denki Kaminari. Hitoshi Shinso added Akatani Mikumo. Hitoshi Shinso added Mina Ashido. Hitoshi Shinso added Ejiro Kirishima. Hitoshi Shinso added Shoto Todoroki. Hitoshi. Hey, would you all like to meet after school this Friday? I am celebrating my birthday at a cat cafe. Akatani. What time? I can meet you at the gates. Hitoshi. We get out at 3 but we can meet at 3:15. Mina. Ooh, yes, totally. Who is at Akatani Mikumo by the way? Denki. Sounds like fun. Count me in. Akatani. I am a friend of his. Mina. Ooh, did you go to school together? Hitoshi. No, but our schools were close to each other. Ejiro. I'll go. Can't wait. Shoto. What is this? Your birthday. Happy birthday. Mina. We're going to celebrate his birthday. He invited us. Shoto. I have never celebrated anyone's birthday. Denki. What would you like? Hitoshi. Whatever you think, honestly no clue. Shoto. I will buy the most expensive items with my father's credit card. Akatani. Can I bring Kachan? Hitoshi. Totally, I just didn't think he would want to come. Akatani. I am with him right now, he says, sure whatever. Hitoshi. Sounds like him. Mina. Wait, you with Bakababe? Akatani. What did you just call him? Mina. Akatani. Don't call him that. Mina. Okay. Shoto. Are you Yamikumo? Akatani. Yeah, Shoto. So you are the one that Bakugo and Shinso are texting. Akatani. Yeah. Denki RN is panicking on what he should get for Hitoshi. Hitoshi got him an amazing present, but what to get for him? Happy birthday to you. They all sing, and Hitoshi smiles. Denki has never seen a smile quite as nice as that. As he opened the presents, Denki watched with bated breath. There was a wide range of cat or coffee-themed items that Hitoshi had received. When it was time for him to finally open Denki's present, it wasn't too hard to tell the difference, given the care Hitoshi took opening it. It was a hoodie. Denki knows how much Hitoshi loves his hoodies. He wanted to make something for Hitoshi that he would appreciate and use. His mother had been teaching him how to use the sewing machine, so he took the opportunity and stayed up for days working on it. It was black with a majestic white cat on the back, and the front had pockets with fuzz inside for your hands to stay warm. Hitoshi stared at it blankly for about 30 seconds, then he suddenly put it on. Thanks, I really like it. Denki blinks. Oh, you're welcome. I made it myself. Really? Aren't you handy? Hitoshi says, turning to him as the rest of the group watches the exchange. I guess. Denki rubs the back of his head, he's a bit embarrassed. Like a housewife. Shoto deadpans. Hey, stop stealing my jokes. Mina protests. Sorry. Shoto deadpans again. Hitoshi laughs. It's the kind of laughter that draws him in, a melody that he can't help but want to be part of. In those moments, everything else fades away, and all Denki can think about is Hitoshi. Denks, you good bro? Kirishima asks, waving a hand in his face. Denki almost falls out of his chair. Ah, yes. He got distracted looking at the love of his life, Mina half whispers to the two of them. Good thing Hitoshi was distracted opening the next present. Why don't we go to the park? Mina says after they leave the cafe. Hitoshi looked at his dad, who was currently out of costume and was yet to be recognized by any of his classmates. It would be better for everyone if they didn't know who his parents were, and when Hisashi had his hair down he looked completely different, plus he didn't have to stay in his present mic persona. Hisashi nods. You go ahead kiddos, just make sure you get home safe. He turns to Hitoshi, make sure to be back before the train's close. He ruffles Hitoshi's already messy hair. Hitoshi gives a small smile. Thanks, Dad. The group heads to the park chatting and laughing as they go. Yamikumo and Bakugo go to the swings together. Mina and Kirishima show Todoroki all the different things you can do at the park because apparently, he had never played at one. That just left Denki and Hitoshi, standing at the entrance. Wanna go on the slide? Denki suggests awkwardly. Hitoshi shrugs. Sure. The two walk up the stairs and head to the largest slide. It came out on the opposite side that the others were on. Birthday boy first. Denki bows, using his hand to point at the slide. The birthday boy chuckles and then goes down the slide. Denki follows, and when he gets out Hitoshi is gone. Hitoshi. Over here, Hitoshi says with a rare grin. He was on the structure ready to go down again. Wow, you're fast. Denki runs up the stairs to quickly go after him. He goes down the slide only to run right into Hitoshi. He falls out of the slide and onto the ground. You good? Hitoshi asks, extending his hand to help Denki up. Denki stared up at Hitoshi. He couldn't help but think that Hitoshi was so pretty. Looking straight into his eyes, he took his hand and stood up. Thanks. Hitoshi nods. Why don't we join the group? Todoroki now understood more about the playground and was just talking casually with Mina and Kirishima. Yamikumo was with Bakugo chatting in the light of the street lights. They joined the group. It's almost 11, shouldn't we start heading to the train station? Hitoshi says, getting the attention of the group. Yamikumo nods. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. They head to the station. Mina and Kirishima say their goodbyes and happy birthdays and go on the same train since they live near each other. Yamikumo and Bakugo go together since they are staying together for the night. That just left Hitoshi and Kaminari. They took different trains and Kaminari had to wait a few more minutes for his. However, the train Hitoshi had to take had just started pulling in. Well, I'm gonna go, Hitoshi says, walking over to the train doors as they open. Kaminari's breathing became a bit quicker. Could he do it? Hitoshi steps onto the train, turning around when Kaminari says, wait. Huh? Kaminari pulls his shirt towards him and kisses him briefly. Without giving Hitoshi time to process, he pulls away. Hitoshi stands there shocked. Happy birthday, Hitoshi. The doors close. A few minutes later, Denki hops onto his train. He had almost missed it. As the train went, he got more and more panicked. What the heck had he done? What was that? Now Hitoshi definitely does not like him. There's just no way. He knew he was dumb, but this was a new low. He got off the train. He walked. He arrived home. He walked to his room. He flopped onto his bed. He checked his phone. It was currently 11:55. One new message. Hitoshi. Hey, you there? Denki sighs. Here comes the rejection. He may as well just get it over with it. He taps on the message and unlocks his phone. Denki. Yeah, Hitoshi. So, I don't really know what to say. Denki. I like you, really like you. I know you probably don't, and that's fine. Hitoshi. You shouldn't assume things. Denki blinks when he reads the message. Huh. Denki. What? Hitoshi. I like you too. Denki. But your reaction, you were just standing there. I thought that you didn't. Hitoshi. Well, you surprised me. I didn't expect that. Denki. Oh, sorry. Cold sweat smile grimace smiling face with tear face with peeking eye. Hitoshi. Don't worry, it was nice. Denki. Are you busy tomorrow? Hitoshi disliked the message. Denki. Would you like to go out to watch a movie with me? Hitoshi. Are you asking me out? Denki. Yes. Cold sweat smile. Hitoshi. Okay, sure. I've never gone out with anyone, so don't expect me to know anything about dates. Denki. Don't worry, cheers of joy. Hitoshi. Are there any rules? Denki. It's a date, not a test. Cheers of joy. Hitoshi. Lol. Denki. Meet me here at 5. Denki sent a location. Hitoshi. Okay, sure. Denki. Okay. Hitoshi was surprisingly calm when his crush Denki Kaminari texted him that he liked him. It was the first time that had happened to him. Before that had happened, when Denki had kissed him he had been surprised. He was stunned and silent and he stood on the train still as a plank, even once the train started moving. He almost missed his stop. When Denki asked him out he was overjoyed, he couldn't wait. Somehow the insomniac was able to sleep, he slept well. He slept in. The next morning he looked better than he normally did with lighter eye bags. He took a shower and got dressed putting on his new hoodie. Then he left his room to get some breakfast. Morning Dad. Morning Moonlight. Hisashi says exuberantly, you look like you slept well. Yeah, I did. He sits down at the table and Hisashi puts out 3 bowls of miso soup. Morning. Shota says groggily coming out of the room, he sits down. Hisashi places a quick kiss on his husband's forehead before handing him his coffee. Here you go, love. Thank, Zashi. He sips the coffee and turns to Hitoshi. You look well. When I got home I checked to make sure you were home since Zashi asked, you were fast asleep. I assume you had a great time then. Hisashi says with a grin as he sits down next to Shota. Yeah, he gets a stare from both of his parents before they dismiss it and continue to have their breakfast. When they're done Hitoshi says to them, I have a question. Hisashi looks up from his now empty bowl, yeah. What is Moonlight? Can I go to the movies today around 5? Shota now puts down his coffee, interested in the conversation. Like a date? With who? Hitoshi looks away from his father. Kaminari. Hisashi is now more excited than he should be, yes. Shota nods. Gay parents with their gay child. Hitoshi gives them a small smile. Thank you. Have you ever been on a date Moonlight? Hisashi asks still excited. No. Shota looks at Hisashi. Don't. Hisashi uses his quirk. I have to give you pointers. Shota turns it off. But Hisashi continues his rant. You'll need help. Who asked who? What movie are you seeing? Where will it be? Is he the romantic type? He sighs. Well, he asked me. I don't know what movie we are watching. He sent me the address. I guess he's the romantic type. Hitoshi had ended up looking up the questions he had when Hisashi and Shota had left for a meeting. He wore what he was already wearing since it said not to wear anything fancy, just something comfy and a bit nice. It was 4:30 so he decided to start heading to the theater, so he got on the train. He texted Denki that he was on his way and got a thumbs up in response. He was a bit nervous but he couldn't show it. Hey, Toshi. Denki shouts from behind him. When did that nickname become normal? Hey, he responds coolly. They were standing in front of the theater. Denki takes his hand and pulls him into the theater. They pick a movie. They get popcorn and drinks and head to their seats. The theater only had a few other people inside it. They sat down as the movie began. Denki put his arm around Hitoshi during the movie. It was nice. The best first date he had ever went on. They left the theater chatting about the movie. Denki made jokes and Hitoshi laughed. They head to a park, and they climb up a tall tree laughing and having fun. They find a nice branch that gives them a beautiful view of the small lake in front of them. Kaminari rests his head on Hitoshi's shoulder and he doesn't dare move. They sit in silence as the sun starts to set. Kaminari lifts his head and turns to Hitoshi. Thanks for coming on this date with me. Hitoshi looks him in the eyes, of course. Denki stares back and smiles good-naturedly. How about a second date? Hitoshi says smiling back, yes, and Denki almost falls out of the tree. Hitoshi laughs, and Denki joins in. They get out of the tree, climbing down one then the other. Hitoshi takes Denki's hand this time, looking him in the eyes. He pulls Denki closer and hugs him after he pulls away. He kisses him, and this time instead of being frozen in place he appreciates it. I do not like writing any further into what happened here since I am not comfortable with it. All you need to know is that they made out. After, they head to the train station still hand in hand, and get on the train. Hitoshi gets off a stop earlier leaving Denki. There's my Moonlight. How was the date? Good, he responds with a small smile. Verdant had been following a villain to a mall. He caught the villain and tied him up. Then he got some boba from a place that is open till late in the day and sat down waiting next to the villain. He was just chilling out when he saw a hooded figure approaching him. Was that Tamura? Tamura sits down next to him. Hello, Verdant. Hello, Shigaraki. He deadpans, looking forward, not caring to turn and face the man. You know, you remind me of someone. He scratches his neck, but that's not the point. I want you to join me. Join you. And why would I do that? He says, turning his head now interested. Well, we can pay you. Shigaraki grins. He stands up. Sorry but no. I can't be hired. Shigaraki glares. You don't want to refuse us. Watch me. He hears sirens and takes that as his cue to leave. They were after the villain he had captured, but Tamura didn't need to know that. Before he goes he shouts, I'll let my nemesis know you're hiring. It was by time for his villain mastermind plan to come into action. So you're saying you think that a cafe worker is Verdant? Tsukachi is confused. Yes, well I saw the connections, but I think he is using Monka Akari as an alias since when I showed his supposed sister his picture she said it wasn't him, Eraserhead says convincingly. The detective sighs, yeah, because you interviewed the sister. Excuse me, sir, an officer comes in and bows to the two of them. The Verdant Analyst is in interrogation room 3. Okay, thank you. The detective says, not showing his surprise. The officer bows again and leaves. So, you didn't invite him, right? Eraserhead says to his friend and coworker. No. They head to the interrogation room. They give each other a look before entering. There sits Verdant leaning back in the chair. Oh hey. There you are. I've been waiting. The two sit down without a word. Did you remake the interrogation rooms? They seem different. Verdant says to both of them. Neither answers the question, of course. Are you Monka Akari? Tsukachi asks, wanting to get the question out of the way. Verdant stares them down, then answers cheerfully, nope. Never met anyone by that name. Tsukachi nods to Aizawa. It's true. So, Verdant, why exactly are you here? Aizawa questions, looking at him intently. I have information for you. He sits up straight. About what? Tamura Shigaraki. At what cost would this information be? Was it something they already knew? I just want you to lay off trying to capture me. I already have to worry about villains. I can't be worrying about heroes and the police all as well. Then he changes, being more dramatic this time. It's just unfair. Villains are after you. Aizawa won't show it, but he is worried. There is a pause. A villain related to me. Tsukachi hasn't detected a lie yet. So about Shigaraki, Tsukachi says, urging Verdant to continue. He slams his hands on the table. Right. Well, he is looking to recruit villains and likely already has some hired. He is offering money, and if they don't accept he threatens them. How do you know this? Tsukachi asks. Verdant shrugs. He asked me. That's not good. Verdant stands up. Well, that's all I know, so I'll be off. I really must continue my patrol. Tsukachi stops him from leaving. One more thing. Eraserhead will still be following you, but he won't try to take you in for now. Verdant nods dismissively. Okay. Then he walks out. Verdant leaves the station, and Eraserhead follows him. He hops up to the rooftops. You don't need to worry so much. Eraserhead walks up behind him. Too bad. He turns around. I think my nemesis is going to join Tamura. Your nemesis? Verdant nods. The Scarlet Death. That's his name. Of course, you can just call him Scarlet. He wants to kill me. I think he will join Tamura to get back at me. Why are you telling me this? He shrugs. Why not? It'll be good not to have the heroes on my back though. My father also figured out that I am not dead, so he will be after me, and he probably has his people looking for me. Verdant sees some crime and leaves before Eraserhead can say anything. 1 week later. Start of summer break. P.S. I use a timeline for this on Reddit. Where I live, summer break is the end of the school year, but this is different, so after summer break they go back to school. They are still first years. Hitoshi. Want to sleep over? I have big news. Yamikumo. Sure. Now. Hitoshi. Yeah. After packing a bag for his sleepover, he walks over to his friend's house. Once he arrives at the address, he knocks on the door. It immediately opens. Hello, listener. Hitoshi, your friend is here. Hitoshi comes out as he takes off his shoes and puts on slippers. Hey Yamikumo, Hitoshi says casually. Hisashi had noticed the similarity in names to his dead friend who was apparently a ghost but didn't mention it. Why would he? They go to Hitoshi's room, so what's the news? I am dating Denki. His eyes widened comically. What? He slaps a hand on his mouth. Hitoshi chuckles. Yup, I'm so happy for you Toshi. He says, giving Hitoshi a big brotherly hug. The two of them chat about Hitoshi's dates with Denki and Izuku shares his opinions and things from his experience with Katsuki. Boys, food is ready, Hisashi says. Izuku looked at the time, it was already dinner time. When did it get so late? Coming. Hitoshi opens the door only to turn to Izuku when he doesn't get up. Oh right, sorry, it's just the first time that we've hung out together at your house for a sleepover. I normally leave before dinner. That way your parents have no way of asking any questions. What if one of us messes up? Izuku says, worried about what could happen. Hitoshi hums. Don't worry about it, they're cool. You can always say no to any questions. Izuku nods and the two head to the table. At each seat there is a beautiful layout with a serving of rice, fish, and pickled vegetables. Since when had Izuku seen such a sight? They all sit down, however when Izuku zones out, he stands up and walks to Hitoshi and hugs him. Yamikumo, Yamikumo. Izuku is now crying into Hitoshi's shoulder. I'm so happy you found an amazing family that loves you. The group stares at Izuku, unsure of what to do in the current situation. Eventually, Izuku stops crying and sits back down. Sorry, I'm kinda a crybaby. It's a fine little listener. Everyone has to cry sometimes. Good thing it was happy tears. They eat food and chat. They talk about Kazui, the cat who has been hiding since Hisashi tried to take him to the vet. They talk about Ua and training, and then Aizawa turns to Izuku. So, Mikumo. Hisashi broke the ice with an enthusiastic grin. What's your family like? Tell us everything. Don't hold back. His voice boomed with excitement. Well, Akutani stammered, clutching his fork tightly, it's just me and my parents. They're nice, I guess. The words hung awkwardly in the air. Shota's expression was blunt and tired, leaning forward slightly. What do your parents do? What's their deal? His tone was straightforward, cutting right to the chase. Akutani swallowed hard. My dad works overseas, and my mom works with him overseas. They're pretty busy, so I don't see them much, but they mean well. Shota stares for a moment. Who are you staying with then? He peers at the child. My parents have a friend who I am staying with, Izuku says, looking anywhere but at the parents. Hisashi clapped his hands together, his energy unwavering. Okay, how about your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun? Akutani's fingers fidgeted with his fork. I like doing analysis and being outside, I guess. It helps me relax. Shota's eyes narrowed slightly. Do you like cats? Yes, they are the best, Akutani replied, looking less anxious. Shota nods. But what do you want to be when you're out of school? Got any big dreams? Akutani hesitated, his cheeks flushing. I'm not sure what yet. Shota kept his expression neutral but maintained his focus on Akutani. Fair enough. You've got plenty of time to figure it out. Hitoshi chimed in, trying to lift the mood. Yamikumo is going to be amazing at whatever he chooses. Right, yeah, I hope so. Akutani mumbled, a faint smile creeping onto his face, feeling a bit more at ease. Shota takes a sip of his water. So what's your quirk? Minor speed enhancement, he says nonchalantly. This was the one question he was really prepared for. When Shota hums in response, Izuku figures that's good enough. As they finish dinner, Hitoshi and Izuku talk about Izuku's birthday, which is soon. They were planning on hanging out with Izuku's friends and Katsuki. After a considerable amount of time, the two boys head to Hitoshi's room. It's late, so the two spend some time talking and then they settle into sleep. /pipe 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 /pipe. In the morning, Izuku wakes up first. He sees Hitoshi still sleeping, so he chooses not to disturb him. He turns on his phone, seeing that it is currently 9 a.m., and he gets up to go to the bathroom. He exits the room silently when he hears talking. Yamada and Aizawa were talking about something. He briefly hears, Verdant. And he chooses to just not hear before he hears too much and it consumes his mind. He comes back into Hitoshi's room and sees him awake. Hey Toshi. Morning Izuku. he says clearly, and stands up with a yawn. There's a knock on the door, and Izuku turns to look at Hitoshi. It's open. Hitoshi speaks loudly so that whoever is at the door can hear him. Hazashi is heading to work, but he made pancakes if you two want them. Shota grumbles. He scans the room to Izuku's confusion. A glance towards Hitoshi tells him it isn't something he usually does. You good dad. Were you on the phone with someone? Shota makes eye contact with Hitoshi, who shakes his head in response. Okay. Shota peers at Hitoshi and then Izuku, then he leaves. The two teens change and head out of Hitoshi's room. As they pass the couch they see Aizawa in his sleeping bag on the couch. They sit at the table and Izuku eats pancakes for the first time in years. He remembers when his mother had made pancakes those few times. Izuku won't cry. He won't. And he doesn't cry. He does, however, stare at the food for a minute before putting a generous amount of syrup on his pancakes and gobbling them down. After they finish eating, Hitoshi walks over to his father. We're going to head out for a bit. Aizawa opens one eye. Be back before sundown. And then he goes back to sleep. They leave without another word. Today was Izuku's birthday and he was planning on just asking his friends to come over, but he had forgotten to ask yesterday as he was busy. Izuku got out of bed, found an outfit and started to put it on. It was a black tank top with some gray-green cargo pants. Izuku was putting his shirt on when he heard a knock on the door. Nerd, it's me. Open up. Kachan. Izuku yelps excitedly, forgetting about his shirt and choosing to open the door instead. The door opens and Izuku sees Katsuki standing there with open arms waiting to give a hug to the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Izuku. They separate and Izuku invites Katsuki inside. He complies and turns around as Izuku closes the door. He stares at Izuku when he closes the door. Izuku tilts his head in confusion. What is it? Katsuki stares at him for a second before smirking. Really? Huh. He looks at his reflection in the window. Kachan. Izuku's face turns red. I am going to put my shirt back on. Quickly, he fumbles to retrieve his shirt from where he had tossed it. Katsuki pouts. Don't. Me. Izuku protests, his hands shaking slightly as he pulls the shirt over his head. Once he's dressed, he glances back at Katsuki, leaning against the wall with an all too satisfied grin. So birthday boy, what will it be today? Well, I'm not sure. Great, let's go. Katsuki takes Izuku's hand. Go where? Izuku questions, still walking with Katsuki when he pulls him towards the door. Katsuki lets Izuku put his shoes on before pulling him out the door, on a birthday date. Okay, and now Izuku is happy he went along with it. He could always invite his friends over when they got back. Katsuki lets Izuku put his shoes on before pulling him out the door, on a birthday date. Okay. And now Izuku is happy he went along with it. He could always invite his friends over when they got back. And so they left. The cafe they went to was a sweet cafe and it was the cutest place he thinks he has ever been to. Izuku thinks that if he had the money he would come here more often. However, Katsuki is rich and Izuku, not even close. After the cafe they go on a walk through a park nearby. They walk to a street filled with shops and stores. Izuku holds hands with his boyfriend as they walk. Then he sees it. His breath gets quicker and Izuku suddenly feels as if someone cut off his oxygen. He holds his head. No, 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 he murmurs over and over again. He feels Katsuki try and help, unknowing of what was happening or what he should do. Someone walks over to them trying to see if they were okay. Hey, is he okay? Stay away from me, Izuku shouts at the person. He is nervous. He looks at Katsuki, who immediately walks him to an alley a little ways away. He breathes heavily, sliding down the wall. Once they are in the alleyway, he clutches his chest. His heart is beating so fast as he thinks in a panicked blur. What was that, Izuku? Katsuki says, approaching him slowly. Izuku, still trying to regain his breathing, responds between breaths. This is the spot where I got out of the car and ran to your house, and today is the anniversary of me escaping. His eyes tear up. I saw the car, the same car. I saw it, I thought. He wipes his eyes. I don't want to go back. Katsuki pulls Izuku into a hug. He gladly accepts, almost melting into the touch as soon as his arms embrace him. Shish, I'll protect you. Don't worry. Katsuki says, patting Izuku's hair, I think you missed a spot, you have some white dye in your hair. Izuku appreciates the distraction, but when he thinks, he notices. I never dyed my hair white, Kachan. Katsuki is very much concerned. What do you mean? You're not old, so then why? Izuku's eyes widened. Shit. What is it, Izuku? The blonde seems to only get more concerned by that. Izuku breathes out shakily. My dad has white hair. It's a side effect from using stolen quirks. On a good day I asked him why he didn't dye it. He told me that no dye works on it. Hey, maybe it's only going to be a bit white, Katsuki says in an attempt to comfort him. Maybe. They sit in silence, both thinking of what to say next. I am here, All Might announced, appearing in the alleyway. The two were startled and turned to All Might. Bakugo speaks to his teacher. All Might, what? Young Bakugo, didn't expect to see you here. They watch as All Might realizes his tone is a bit loud in the current situation. A civilian told me there was a child in distress here and that they may need help. Young Bakugo, did you help this young man? I guess. That is quite the heroic act, young man. Very well done. All Might pats Bakugo's back. Why don't we head out of the alleyway, young man, and why don't you take this young one with you? All Might turns to Izuku. What's your name, young man? Shit, Izuku is not in costume. What does he say? Damn it, Izuku. The hero pauses and then nods. He guides the two out. They hold hands, but All Might doesn't notice since there is a loud rumbling to their left. They all turn to see a group of reporters. The media surrounds them in an overwhelming mess of, All Might, how has your time as a teacher at UA been so far? And, why have you been seen less on the streets? Are you preparing for classes? And, did you save these two? And, who are these two? As the media notices the two, their attention turns to them. They immediately recognize Bakugo but don't seem to notice Izuku being an old dead kid. Huh, strange. Katsuki, Bakugo, were you training with All Might? Someone asks and it clearly ticks Katsuki off. All Might answers the question, however. Young Bakugo here, helped Izuku here. A civilian told me there was someone in distress over here, and imagine my surprise when I found Bakugo already helping this young man. The media seems slightly satisfied and starts asking more questions. The cameras were now focused on the three of them. This may as well be the biggest story they have had in the past few days since it has been quiet. All Might stops answering at a certain point, and it is clear that he is trying to get the two of them to leave before it escalates. The two sneak off as All Might start to speak again, this time more exuberantly. Izu, you good? Let's go home, Kachan. Okay. Quote. At the Aizawa household, Hitoshi was sitting on the couch texting his friend while the TV played. It was on a news station that covered mostly heroes. Shota was sleeping on the floor in his sleeping bag as Hizashi watched the news while also sitting on the couch next to Hitoshi. He hears a small gasp from his dad. Hizashi then shakes Aizawa awake. Sho, Bakugo is on the TV with All Might. Hitoshi looks up at that and is also interested. Wait, is that Izuku? The audio plays and they hear All Might explain the situation. Young Bakugo here, helped Izuku here. A civilian told me there was someone in distress over here, and imagine my surprise when I found Bakugo already helping this young man. Izuku, that kid looks familiar, Aizawa mumbles as he has just woken up. He sits up and Hitoshi sees the processing on his face. Doesn't he kind of look like Mikumo? Hizashi says, staring at the TV. Hitoshi starts to panic, but he hopes his parents don't notice. Who is he kidding? Of course they will notice. I guess. Aizawa hums, and so maybe Hitoshi wasn't caught panicking yet. But his name is Izuku, not Akatani Mikumo. Hitoshi thinks maybe that will work. Hizashi thinks for a second as he continues to watch. Wait, Izuku, that name seems so familiar. Doesn't it show? He reminds me of Verdant. And Bakugo seems very close to this kid. They definitely know each other. Aizawa grumbles. Hitoshi almost faints at that. This was too overwhelming. Why did his parents have to be Sherlock Holmes? They are so good at seeing the small details. Aizawa glances over at Hitoshi. What do you think? You're being quiet. I don't know. Is Hitoshi sweating? Yes, he most definitely is. Aizawa peers at him. He is definitely suspicious. His dad turns back to the TV. Maybe look up his name in the police records. Hizashi suggests. Hitoshi tries to see if there is a way to not have his friend be found out. But don't you need a full name for that? You can find someone with a picture as well, and we have a first name which is good. Shota explains to Hitoshi, who still had to learn about that. But we don't need to do that, Hizashi comments. We don't. Hitoshi says, relief is clear in his voice. We can just take a picture of him from the news and look it up. If there are any pictures online, they will probably come up, and who are we kidding? This kid is your age, he probably has social media. Oh, right. Hizashi takes a picture and looks it up. Hitoshi watches as his father's face goes from happy to confused and shocked. Sho, I think you're gonna want to see this. What? Aizawa turns, and as soon as he registers his husband's face, he stops. Show me. Hizashi turns the phone to Aizawa and Hitoshi. Hitoshi sucks in a breath. It was an article about the body found on Dagoba Beach. Everyone reads the article. Kidnapped child found dead after almost 8 years. On August 13, 2xxx at 8:56 p.m. 11-year-old Izuku Midoriya's body was found on the shore of Dagoba Beach, skull bashed in. Police suspect whoever kidnapped the child did some kind of experiment, since there is a lot of evidence in the form of scars on his skin. Whoever left the body likely is the kidnapper. Keep your children safe and take good care of them. This kidnapper is still on the loose. Hizashi scrolls down to show a picture of the body. Although they were different ages in the pictures, they were still the same person. No doubt about it. I remember when the kid disappeared. I patrolled that area at a certain point and I heard about the story a few times. Aizawa says in shock at what they had just found out. Hitoshi is going to die. How could he let this happen? Hitoshi, are you okay? Both parents stare at him. He stands up. I'm going to go to my room. I think I didn't get enough sleep last night. Then he walks to his room. He can feel his parents' eyes on him. As soon as he gets into his room, he grabs his phone and calls Izuku. He goes to the farthest corner of his room just in case his parents were listening, which he doubted they would do. Come on, Izuku. Pick up. The phone goes to voicemail. Shoot, he says, frustrated, and he goes to text him when he notices that he has a message from a group chat. Izuku's surprise birthday party plan. Oh, right, that was today. The party would be in an hour, and he had told his parents that he was going to Mikumo's house for the day. He had a present and he was ready. Hitoshi thought for a second. It's Izuku's birthday today and he probably doesn't want this bad news. It could wait a day, right? Right, that was weird, right? His husband says. Shota nods. Very, but we should give him space. We can ask tomorrow. He's going to a friend's house today anyways. But Izuku Midoriya. Right, the not so dead kid. Hizashi says, continuing the thought. Where is he staying? Maybe with Bakugo, since he definitely knows Bakugo. But what is their connection? How did he fake his death and why? He was missing for years and they assumed he was kidnapped, so why is he alive? Shota sits on the couch next to his husband. Hizashi sighs. Maybe you could talk with Bakugo. You do have his address, right? While Hitoshi is out with his friends, you can go over and ask him about it. Maybe Izuku will be with him. Shota nods. I'll let the detective know once I know more about the situation. No, you should keep this between us just in case it is a fragile matter, because if there's something more going on, the police may complicate things. Hizashi interrupts Shota, but he doesn't mind. He nods at the idea. Good call. Hitoshi walks out of his room. I'm going to head to Yamikumo's house now. Have fun, Hizashi says cheerfully. Hitoshi walks out without another word. After a few minutes sitting in peaceful silence, Shota stands up. Shota puts on his shoes. Bye, Zashi. I'll let you know how it goes. Love you, Sho. Stay safe. Hizashi says, waving him off from the couch. Aizawa arrives at the Bakugo household shortly after. He knocks on the door, and soon it opens. Hello there, Miss Bakugo. Could I speak with your son? Aizawa says, trying his hardest to be polite. She nods and shows him inside. The kiddo is currently out on a birthday date with his boyfriend. I can help you though. What did he do this time? They sit on the couch as Aizawa starts. Thank you very much. I just had a few questions about someone that he helped out earlier today. Do you know or have you seen this child? He pulls out a picture from the news today. Aizawa had not expected the response he got. Mitsuki Bakugo froze in her tracks. She looked like she had seen a ghost. Where did you get that picture? He was on the news today. Your son helped him out and then All Might had found them. The press got involved, but when I looked into the kid I found his name is Izuku. Midoriya. Yes, I know this child. She looks sad, or happy. Well, her eyes are teary, that's the point. Is this real? Aizawa hums. Yes, I believe Izuku Midoriya is alive, but it seems you already know who he is. How come? She sniffles. I was friends with his mother before she passed. Bakugo and Izuku were inseparable back then. Until the incident. Can you tell me more in regards to what happened? Aizawa asks. This was very important information. Inko. The boy's mother had tried to convince everyone that her husband had done it. No one believed her, however, since there was evidence that he was in America. But she knew that the sick bastard had the connections to make it seem that way. She said that if she died from an injury that I could trust that it was her husband. They never divorced, but he was a cruel man, and when he left for work Inko was so much happier. I can't imagine what that boy has been through. But, if what the media was correct about the scars, then maybe Izuku also has them. Maybe he is hurt. She says and basically cries at this point. Is that them? Aizawa gestured to the altar with 2 pictures on it. She smiles. Yes, but I guess we can take down Izuku's now. He smiles slightly as an act to try and comfort her. Do you have any idea if your son has been seeing Izuku? She shakes her head. The only people she hangs out with are a few of the kids in class plus his boyfriend. He looked up at that. There was a chance. What did you say his boyfriend's name was again? Akutani Mikumo. He smiles slightly as an act to try and comfort her. Do you have any idea if your son has been seeing Izuku? She shakes her head. The only people she hangs out with are a few of the kids in class plus his boyfriend. He looked up at that. There was a chance. What did you say his boyfriend's name was again? Akutani Mikumo. Aizawa blinks in surprise. I'm sorry, what? Could he seriously be right about this? Akutani Mikumo. She says again. Aizawa turns on his phone and scrolls through a few texts before seeing a picture. He turns his phone so that Mitsuki can see it. Yes, that's him. She looks confused. What does he have to do with this? Nothing. Thank you for your time. I will stay in contact with you. If I find anything I will let you know. Could you keep this between us? He says, standing up from where he had been. She nods, and after a second Aizawa leaves. As soon as he is in the car he texts Hizashi. Shota. Mikumo may be Izuku. Hizashi. Really? Hitoshi is with him. Do you think he is dangerous? Shota. I don't know. He has gone over to hang out with the kid a few times, so it will likely be okay for now. Bakugo is dating Mikumo. He likely knows about him being Izuku since they knew each other before Izuku was kidnapped. Hizashi. Wow, never expected that one. How did you get all that from Bakugo? Shota. He wasn't home. Apparently he is with Mikumo. His mother gave me this information. Hizashi. Well, what should we do next? Shota. We have Hitoshi's location. I am going to check it and pin it. Tonight I'll head out early for patrol and see if I can catch Izuku, maybe through a window, or depending where he is staying maybe I will have to sneak in. Hizashi. Be careful. Shota. Do you think Hitoshi knows? Hizashi. No clue, but we should ensure Hitoshi is back first. Come home so we can spend some time together before you leave. Shota. I know, I am already on the way. The ducklings were great friends, and what great friends wouldn't throw a surprise party for their friend? Tango was currently waiting on Hitoshi. He was the last to arrive other than Izuku and Bakugo. They had heard the news since Hitoshi had let them know. The news only made them more determined to make the party the most fun Izuku had ever had. Hitoshi is here, Irene says, running up the stairs only a few steps ahead of the purple-haired insomniac. Hey, is the only thing that Hitoshi says when he arrives. You good? Tango says, walking over to their new, not really, friend. Hitoshi sighs. My parents saw the news and they may have recognized Izuku. Tango takes Hitoshi's present from his hands. She sets it down on a table they had brought out. That's not good. Do you think they will look into it? Who knows, he says plainly. Don't bring it up when Izuku is here. He is already having a bad day. Irene says as she stands with the two of them. Plus it's his birthday. Tango adds. Hitoshi nods. I know. Tango turns when Celeste and Amane walk up the stairs. You got the cake. Yup. Celeste shows the box. When's the birthday boy going to arrive? Hitoshi asks. Amane. Celeste says, nudging Amane to tell them. Oh right. They pull their phone out. It says 3 minutes, are we ready? Yup. Plus it will take a few more minutes to go up the stairs, Irene comments. They all hide behind the table that holds the cake, snacks, and presents. Soon they all hear footsteps, each person is ready and armed with a confetti popper. The door to their floor opens and Izuku and Katsuki walk in. What is this? Izuku exclaims in surprise. Surprise. The whole group says, even Bakugo does. Is this, really for me? Izuku says as his eyes start to water. Of course Izuku, you deserve it. 100%. No doubt. Yup. Who else would it be for? Izuku is now very much crying. Thank you all so much. Katsuki hugs Izuku and when the group sees that, they take the chance and approach. Tango is the first to latch onto the two, she is a hugger, Irene joining only a second after. Celeste pulls Amane into the hug as she joins. Hitoshi stares, he felt so out of place. Toshi, come, Izuku manages to say through the hug. Hitoshi finds his spot and joins the hug. They stand like that for a few more seconds. When they separate they all notice the huge grin on Izuku's face. Tango takes that as her cue to say something. Oh, Izuku, we got you a cake. Plus we have snacks and we each got you a little something. Really, you guys spoil me, Izuku says pouting slightly and Katsuki chuckles. They make me feel so single, Tango says leaning on Irene who giggles. Hitoshi stands awkwardly next to Celeste and Amane who were already standing awkwardly. The group cut the cake. It was a vanilla cake with fruits on top though the fruits were mainly strawberries. You guys remembered how I wanted my cake from last year. He says emotionally. Celeste says as she cuts a few more slices for the rest of the group. After eating the cake Izuku opens the presents he got. He got a matching bracelet from Katsuki, they were long-distance touch bracelets. Izuku got the one with the moon since he worked at night plus he was a night owl. Katsuki kept the one with the sun since he is an early bird and has a bright personality. Not that he was complaining about getting that one. From Amane, Izuku got a ring, not just any ring however. As Amane eventually explained, it was a ring that had an AI system. Apparently, Amane had a favor he cashed in from a guy with a high-tech quirk. Izuku could make a hologram screen pop up if he gave the voice command, I can see that. He would have to try it out later. From Hitoshi, Izuku got a cat plushie and a fuzzy blanket, which he immediately got attached to. Not many people know this about Izuku but he actually adores fuzzy blankets and sort of collects them. Celeste, Tango, and Irene gave him a new hoodie for his vigilante outfit. Tango and Irene had made it, Celeste and Irene designed it and Celeste made the materials. It was a sturdy material though it wouldn't stop a bullet, it would stop a lot of other weapons. The back of the hoodie had a symbol that looked like a T, V, and a together. They explained that it was his symbol, the other members of the ducklings already had their own. Izuku really liked the symbol they had made, the others mentioned them in the past but he had forgotten over time. The symbol didn't have to relate to your vigilante name, they had decided it looked cool, however, after that it just kind of stuck. The group played some games and then watched a movie. They decided to watch Suzume. Apparently, Tango and Izuku had memorized the song that went with the movie. When the song came on the two started singing together, it wasn't half bad. When the movie ended the group decided it was late, each said their goodbyes to Izuku and left. When only Hitoshi and Izuku remained Hitoshi approached Izuku who just finished saying his heartfelt goodbye to his boyfriend, who left since his mother called him home. Happy birthday, by the way I have something important I need to talk to you about, not now but soon. Izuku says not noticing the tense vibe from Hitoshi. Don't worry, we will talk later. He says with a small smile, then leaves. When Hitoshi arrives home he is greeted by both of his parents. He was hoping he wouldn't have to face them until he told Izuku about it earlier but who was he kidding? They are literally his parents. Not noticing how the two visibly relaxed upon his entry. It was currently 10 so and Hitoshi was tired. After saying goodnight to his parents he went to his room. He wouldn't say he slept the best, but it was better than not sleeping at all. You pinned the location? Hazashi asked him in a worried but alert tone. Shota rolled his eyes. Yes Zashi, stop worrying. Hey, this could be dangerous. Call me if you need me. Hazashi says as Shota put on his shoes. Yeah, I will. He opens the door, I'll be back before you know I'm gone. And with that he steps out into the night, the fresh air filling his lungs as he takes out his phone. Shota checks the pin and follows the marker for about a mile. He scales buildings and jumps over rooftops until finally he arrives on the rooftop across from the building. If he is being completely honest, this was not at all what Shota had expected to find. The building was old and other than the few lights still on the top floor. There was no sign of life inside. The place was practically falling apart, or so it seemed. There was an old warning sign that said, "Hazardous chemicals," on it at the gate to the old apartment complex. Was this where Hitoshi had been going to hang out with his friend? This was the type of place Shota always found druggies, drunks, villains, and the occasional vigilante. Could this kid be Verdant? He had thought that they had quite a few similarities, especially with them both being close with a Kachan. Well, if the kid was Verdant then he would need to leave for patrol soon. The few lights that were on then turned off. He waited for about 30 minutes and he texted Hazashi an update about the situation. Hazashi had texted back some worried scrambles but Shota told him not to worry and that he was going to sneak in. Shota made his way to the building opening the unlocked rooftop door. Once he was there, he noticed the clear use in the door. Someone, or multiple people came in and out of this door very often. It was starting to look like his suspicions were correct. He entered the building, walked down the stairs and onto the first floor. There were many rooms on the top floor. He listened for any signs of life at each door. They were silent. That did not mean no one was there, it just meant they were either asleep, quiet, or there may really not have been anyone in the room. He couldn't afford to check. He heard a slight sound towards the end of the hallway. This stopped him in his tracks. He moved slowly and quietly as humanly possible. He couldn't let this whole investigation go down the drain. He heard the sound again, and it was louder now that he was closer to the door it seemed to be coming from. He listened. The sound came again. It was faint but he could tell there was a person singing the eerie tune, little bunny, your mother is home, she's cuddled up now, keeping you warm." Shota the door opened a crack. He opened it to go into the room. Somehow luck is on his side and the door does not squeak. He entered the dark room, blending in well with his black. There was a small night light on. Was there someone in danger here? Little bunny, when the wolf is near, you do not fear, comes the voice again, but Shota thinks he recognizes it. Verdant, he says cautiously, not wanting to scare the child. A head pokes out from a fuzzy blanket, the blanket he was sure he had bought Hitoshi to give for a late birthday present to someone. Kachan, the voice says shakily, likely trying to see who it was. He doesn't answer. What did he say to that? Go back to sleep kid, he says in a calming voice. After a moment the head sinks into the blanket again. Shota takes the chance and sneaks out of the room. What the hell was that? Shota made his way out of the building and went home. Once he arrived he told Hazashi everything. That kid had to be Verdant. Hitoshi and Bakugo knew Verdant. They may not know his identity but they are in contact with him. This is bad. The first thing Izuku does when he wakes up is make coffee. He is tired as hell. He also had such a strange dream. Too bad Kachan hadn't been able to stay the night. If he had, Izuku was sure he would have slept great. The next thing Izuku did in his routine was get ready to head to work. He wasn't hungry so he didn't eat. No reason to waste money when it was unnecessary, plus it wasn't like he did it every morning. He did eat, just not as much as some people would say is enough, particularly his boyfriend. Katsuki makes him eat, and Izuku never says no, even finding himself asking for Katsuki to make him food. Other than that, he doesn't eat much. And it is not a problem. He arrives at work on time, clocking in and putting on his apron. He brought the morning orders to customers, and he took a few orders during Tango's break. It was a slow day. He didn't mind. When Amane made a batch of cookies together, he didn't mind taking one for himself to snack on during his break. When he saw Hitoshi enter, waved briefly, then he remembered that Hitoshi had something he wanted to talk about today, didn't he? He put his cookie in his pocket and told the manager he was going to take his break. He simply nodded. He still brought Hitoshi his Miaucha latte. He did have to talk with him, so why not? He sat down next to him, cookie now in hand. So, Toshi, you wanted to talk. Hitoshi takes a long sip of his drink, then answers. Yeah, promise you won't be mad at what I am about to tell you. Huh, what is it? Just promise. Hitoshi says with an edge to his voice, one Izuku had personally never heard from the boy. Izuku stares at his friend with worry. Okay. I promise. Now, tell me, my parents know. What did that mean? Izuku was confused, but also now he was on edge. Know what? I'm sorry. They saw you on the TV and recognized you somehow. They figured out that Izuku Midoriya is alive. Hitoshi says, voice laced with panic. Izuku stares. Fucking bad luck. He thought. But they don't know that. Hitoshi looks a small bit relieved, but for what reason? No, they are suspicious of Mikumo, but it really won't go anywhere. Oh, okay, what about Verdant? Izuku asks quietly. I'm not sure, but my dad thought you reminded him of Verdant. And you were with Katsuki, maybe stay away from him. He shrugs. Izuku nods solemnly. Yeah, for his safety maybe that's the best. We shouldn't hang out either, just for safety. Hitoshi, thank you for telling me. If Eraserhead knew his identity, then he was done for. He works with the police and will go to them with the information. Then they will be looking for him, which means his father may also have a good chance of taking him if the police find him. If he keeps his friends around him, they will just get caught up in it all. He won't. No, he can't let that happen. And he can't go back there. His father already had wanted posters out for him. He needs to keep his father the farthest away from everything. But with the police looking, they will likely be able to track him down. But Nezu did say he would provide resources to take his father down. It's safe to say that Nezu already knows his identity. If he found Izuku Shigaraki, Izuku Midoriya is not far from that. But would he help him? And what if his father gets to him first? Or the police? Izuku, are you okay? Hitoshi asked with a worried face. He spares a glance at his friend. I'm going to go back to work now. Try not to contact me. Sorry, Toshi. His best friend looks at him longingly, like he wished this had never happened. They both wished that. Bye. It was the morning. Shota had arrived late the day before and had fallen asleep very fast. I'm going to Sukachi with this. We have to do something about this kid. Shota says in a tone that rivals that of his husband when excited. But Sho, are you sure? Hazashi says, knowing the answer. Yes, I'm going to go before it gets too busy at the station. Shota says, putting his hero costume on. Hazashi nods. Say hi to Sukachi for me. When Aizawa arrives at the detective's office, he sees the man is already sitting at his desk. Hey, can I come in? Aizawa asks. Sukachi looks up immediately and says, of course, sit down. Hazashi says hi. Aizawa closes the door behind him, then he sits down. Do you remember Izuku Midoriya? He lets out a long sigh. How could I not? The commission was all over my ass when no one solved it. Well, I found him and I am very certain he is Verdant. What? Sukachi clearly cannot believe it. How? Did you see the news yesterday? Aizawa asks, though the detective probably hadn't since he is a very busy man. No, I was busy. The detective responds. Well, All Might found Bakugo, one of my students who had saved a kid who All Might said was named Izuku, Aizawa says to his friend and coworker. That's not enough to confirm it though. Detective corrects. Aizawa opened his phone showing the picture of Izuku's face next to Bakugo and All Might. He stares at the phone with wide eyes. Holy shit, that's him. Well, me and Hazashi thought he looked like Akutani Mikumo, who is my son's friend. So I believe that he uses that as an alias. Here's a picture. He scrolls to the picture he had shown Mitsuki Bakugo. I think you're right, but how does that make him Verdant? Well, I recognized his voice, but remember how I told you about that stand-in for Verdant named Kachan? The detective nods, so he continues. Well, in the picture you can see Katsuki Bakugo and Izuku. They seem very friendly. So I visited the Bakugo household to ask about it, but Katsuki was not home. So I spoke with his mother and she recognized Izuku immediately. Apparently the Bakugos knew the Midoriyas very well, even before the kidnapping. His mother also said that Katsuki spends a lot of time with his boyfriend. Akatani Mikumo, the detective fills in. Yes, my son went to his house that day, so I dropped a pin on his location and during patrol I checked it out. It's an abandoned building and when I entered I found Izuku in one of the rooms. I recognized his voice as Verdant but there was something wrong with him, he was acting very strangely. Then I left. The detective pauses as he takes everything in. What should we do? I think we should see if we can take him in. Who knows what happened to this kid but with what he has likely been through. Aizawa states. The detective cracks his knuckles. Should I notify some of the heroes who patrol this area? Aizawa nodded. But keep it small, only a few people, not anyone too flashy. How about Kamui Woods and Death Arms? The detective says looking at something on his computer screen. That sounds good, we don't know what we will find there. I can send you the location. Aizawa says already finding it on his phone and sending it to the detective. When are we planning this for? The detective says typing on his computer, likely sending out an email to the heroes. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Aizawa says firmly, Yamikumo. Kachan, I may have been figured out by your teacher. I am going to stay far from you but don't worry it'll all work out. Katsuki. WTF do you mean? What happened? WTF. Hello, are you there? Answer the messages. I know you are reading this goddammit. Yamikumo. Kachan, you're making this difficult for me. I am trying to keep you safe. Katsuki. And I promised I would keep you safe. Yamikumo. By contacting me you would be doing the opposite. Katsuki. Fuck you. The message read at 8:32 p.m. Toshi. You good? You seem down. Hazashi says to his son. Hitoshi looks up from his large cup of coffee. Yeah, I'm fine. Hazashi walks over to Hitoshi. You wanna talk about it? No, I'm okay. He says tiredly. Want me to talk about something cool then? Hazashi says trying to lift his spirit. Sure. Hazashi smiles brightly. Well, you know that vigilante Verdant. The one Shota has been trying to take in. Yeah, Hitoshi answers with newfound interest. Well, there's going to be a small raid at his place tomorrow, or at least where they think he lives. They may finally catch this guy. Hazashi says exuberantly. Hitoshi is shocked but of course his dad did not need to know that. Oh, that's nice. After a bit of listening to Hazashi talk about work Hitoshi heads to his room. Upon arriving he finds his phone and texts Izuku, this was too important. Hitoshi. You have to get out of there. My dad is leading a raid at your house tomorrow. Message not delivered. Hitoshi. WTF Izuku respond. This is important. Message not delivered. Hitoshi decides maybe he can reach Izuku through Bakugo. And the only reason he had Bakugo's phone number was because of the class group chat. Shinso. Bakugo, can you reach your boyfriend? Bakugo. Hey, you must be in Bakugo's class, this is his mother. Bakugo is currently banned from his phone for being on it too much. Try contacting him in a few days, bye. What is going on? Hitoshi had the ducklings' phone numbers, maybe they will respond. Hitoshi. Tango, there's going to be a raid at your complex tomorrow. With Eraserhead. Tango. Shoot. Hitoshi. Thank goodness you answered. Please tell everyone. Izuku too. Maybe the people on the first floor as well. Tango. Amane is working but the rest of us are here. I can tell them it's an emergency, we will get our stuff out. We don't have much that is ours just in case of a situation like this. I can head down with Celeste and tell the neighbors. But first I am going to tell you about Izuku. Hitoshi. Have you been able to reach Izuku? My texts won't go through. Tango. Mine aren't either. I'll tell Amane to tell Izuku since they are working. Hitoshi. Thank you. Let me know if you need help. Tango. Shall can do. Greater than 10 minutes later less than. Tango. Izuku isn't here or at work. Amane checked and his tracker is off. We can't find him. Hitoshi. What? Tango. His vigilante gear is gone too. Hitoshi. Don't you all have comms or something, right? Tango. He left his behind. Hitoshi. Oh, for fuck's sake, what is he thinking? At least he is not in the building. Celeste and Tango head down to the first floor. They knock on the door that seemed to be mainly used. Hello. A woman with hair very similar to Celeste opens the door, her eyes widened as she sees the two. Wait, Lavender, Celeste says in surprise. Tango, not getting it, looked confused. Yeah, Cell, don't you remember? She saved us from, but we never saw her without her vigilante outfit on. Celeste interrupts. And we know it's her though, she lives here, she told us. Tango says, still confused. I know her though, Celeste blurts out, something that never happened and was enough to shut Tango up. Yeah, you do, Lavender said with a small smile. Celeste looks back towards Lavender, the look in her eyes shocked and confused. Lavender shakes her head with a chuckle. So why did you knock on my door, sis? Tango's jaw drops. You mean you are her sister? The one who ran away? Wait, this is actually insane. I remember saving you two that day. Yeah. I just wish I hadn't taken so long to find you. If I had found you sooner, you both would be considerably less traumatized. Lavender looks a bit disappointed in herself but just shrugs. Well, if you two are down here looking for me, then this must be important. What can I do? Celeste steps forward and hugs her sister. I missed you so much. After a second she continues, we have to evacuate our building, there is going to be a raid here tomorrow. Lavender pats her head. Oof. Well, okay. Wish we could have had this reunion in better circumstances. I just gotta tell my roomie, then I will be set to go. Lavender says to the two as Celeste releases her from the hug. Celeste hesitates for a second. Okay, could we meet, and maybe talk? Of course, kiddo, I'll find you once this is over. Don't worry about it, Lavender says with a smile. Kit had been on a long patrol, and they were exhausted. Maybe Lavender had made food they could steal. Lavender's quirk is perfection. If she sees anything imperfect in her eyes, she can use her quirk to see the steps she needs to take, to achieve perfection or what she wants it to be. That's why when Lavender cooks it is always so delicious. She only needs to get the ingredients from there. Her quirk will guide her to make the perfect version of the food she wants to eat. They get up to look for food only to be interrupted by Lavender. You looking for food again? Yeah, maybe. They respond tired. Well, you don't have to steal it. Remember, I am not all for one. And just because you're living with me doesn't mean you have to sneak around. Lavender says to Kit. They sigh in response. Lavender rolls her eyes. Sometimes it is hard to believe that you are basically immortal. It's not my fault that shape-shifting keeps me from aging. Don't blame me, they say, looking offended. Whatever, we have to get out of here. There is going to be a raid tomorrow, she says to Kit. They look annoyed, but I don't wanna. I have been through enough of these things, who cares? Lavender's eye twitches. Yeah, well, too bad. You are leaving with me whether you like it or not. Eventually they come to a decision. They are leaving and Lavender is making Kit's food for 2 months. With their building now empty, the ducklings head out. They had all helped take Izuku's essentials as well. Hopefully, they will find their friend and return home. For now, Irene moved back in with her parents. Tango joined Irene at her house. Irene had invited them all to stay, but Celeste had other plans. After meeting her sister, she wanted to spend more time with her, so after they met up, Celeste joined her sister. Amane soon joined Celeste, and they used the buddy system, so the two of them were together. They still hadn't heard from Izuku, and Katsuki was still banned from his phone by what Hitoshi said. All they could do now was wait and pray. 4 p.m. Tsukauchi. It seems Death Arms got caught up in an armed robbery. He is sending Mount Lady in his place. Shota never saw the message. Mount Lady, what are you doing here? Shota says to the female pro-hero as she arrives. What, you have something against women? She says with a scoff. He shakes his head. No, I just thought Death Arms and Kamui Woods were the ones that the detective mailed. He said he couldn't make it to me, Kamui Woods says, glaring at MT. The lady who was flirting. Shota sighs. Okay, do you know what we are doing? A raid, right, some villain group, she said, straightening up and immediately switching from flirty woman to hero. A vigilante group, Kamui corrects. Okay, well, the police are on standby if anything goes wrong. We just have to get in and capture any vigilantes. He shows a picture of the group. Then he shows the picture of Akutani Mikumo and Izuku Mirodia, and if you see these kids, capture them at all cost. He may be dangerous, but it will be best to treat him as a victim. The two pros nod. and they head towards the building. Shota is the first of the group to arrive. He makes his way to the room he had seen Verdant in. When he enters, he is surprised to find it mostly empty. He checked the other rooms, finding nothing. But right when he was going to give up, he found a box. He opened that box and found almost 500 rubber ducks. Green rubber ducks. He takes his phone out to look for a picture of his vigilante ducks and finds a few. He was right, Verdant lives here. But if this is where he lives, then where is he, and why is all of his stuff gone? There were of course many things still on the floor, but clearly someone had taken a large amount of its contents. The only people who knew about the raid were him, the detective, his husband, and the 3 pros. There was a loud rumbling sound from underneath him, and he quickly got out of the way, almost getting hit as the ground exploded beneath him and a giant fist came flying through. The news ran in Katsuki's living room. Vigilante base found. Earlier this evening, the base of a dangerous vigilante gang known as the Ducklings was discovered. Kamui Woods and MT. Lady were involved in the raid at 5 p.m., but the operation was unsuccessful in capturing the vigilantes. Although they did not apprehend anyone, they located what appears to be the group's base. During the raid, MT. Lady used her quirk, causing a large portion of the building to collapse. Fortunately, no civilians were injured, as the building had been abandoned for many years. Mom, what brat, don't yell at me. His mother yells back at him with her usual tone. I need my phone, it's an emergency, he says loudly but not yelling. What happened? She says, coming into the living room. She takes one look at her son and then agrees. Okay, let me get it. He sighs in relief and continues to watch the news as if it were about to tell him how to solve world hunger. After a minute of waiting, he changed the channel, and a kids' show was playing. The best way to defeat your enemy is to make him your friend. Well, that's stupid. He changed the channel again to some nature documentary and sighed. Here, I want it back when you are done, she says, and he snatches the phone. Katsuki heads to his room. He checks his messages. Hitoshi, Amane, Irene, Celeste and Tango had called him each a few times. 1,000 plus messages. He had only been off his phone for a few days. What was going on? After Katsuki finally read all the messages and he couldn't stay, he wasn't worried, because he was. He could, however, say that he was relieved, not for the fact that his boyfriend's home for the past years was destroyed, but for the fact that his boyfriend did not get hurt or caught in the crossfire of the raid. He called Izuku, again, and again, and again. He stood up, almost idly. Mom, I'm heading out for a bit, bringing my phone with me. Stay safe and get back before dinner. Sorry, Mom, but I have to find him. Time: 8:14 p.m. Katsuki walked to the building, the very same one that had been partially destroyed earlier that day. He entered through the back door that was still intact. He went up the oh-so-familiar stairs. He doubted running to the door, but ended up doing so anyway. He managed to get around the giant hole in the floor. He was now on the other side of the floor. He walked into the room he had been in so many times. It was practically empty. What the hell happened? Where did you go? He mumbled. Something fell behind him, and he flinched. Then he turned, and he saw him. Izuku, Kachan, you fucking bastard, he said, walking towards Izuku angrily, and Izuku looked terrified. He pulled the boy into a hug, and he reluctantly accepted. I was worried about you. It's not like it's been that long, he heard Izuku grumble. Katsuki looks at him judgmentally. Well, your home was destroyed, and you disappeared off the face of the earth. I think I'm right to worry. Fair point. Then Izuku looks out the window. It was nice out today, and Katsuki would be continuing school soon. After all, break was almost over. So, what are we going to do now? Katsuki asks, making sure that it's we, and not you. Good question. Izuku thinks for a second. Can I stay at your house? Katsuki hesitates before responding. My mom has been talking a lot about you, like the actual you. Oh, maybe not then. I'll ask the others, Izuku says and pulls out his phone, but hesitates when he goes to send the message. Katsuki notices. Did you text them? He grumbles angrily, already knowing the answer. Izuku shakes his head. I can't. I don't want to put them in danger, nor do I want to put you in any. I'll stay in contact, but I will send cards until I think it's safe again. But where will you stay? Katsuki asks, though he doubts he will get an answer. That's for me to know, not you. The second week of March begins with only one sign of Izuku, which came in the form of a letter, and now Katsuki was on his way to school with a letter of his own in hand. Izuku's letter. Dear love of mine, I am writing this as I go throughout the city. The darkness is tracking my every move. I hope that you are all right and that you appreciate this small treat I am sending with you, though you depart soon for only a short while. I have the distant feeling that something may go wrong. Please remain safe and continue to keep me informed, as I continue to aid people through the streets on this quiet night. I can't help but think of you and your future as a hero. You helped me through the toughest moments of my life. I hope to help you through yours. I am the pen to your paper, the coffee to your morning, the song in the wind. I am yours, and you are mine. You stole my heart and kept it safe. My trust in you is never in doubt as we go through this meaningful life, this never-ending carnival. A world of pain and delight. I anticipate that day when we find a safe space. A place where we can enjoy our lives and let our guards down. Sometimes, I fear what I'd do if given options against your love. I fear what I would do to keep you safe. Nevertheless, when I'm with you, it's like those thoughts never existed. You brighten my world and make my hell of a past melt away. Thank you for all that you do and all that you have done. You are my guardian angel, my protector, my shield. But you don't have to be. I know that you feel inferior for not protecting me from the cruelties of my past. How could you have done anything to change it? The day was still young, and we were only 4. I know those side characters that you work with will be there for you. You should place more trust in them. I know that it is ironic, yes, especially coming from me, but you need to grow your community. Perhaps try to learn about them and maybe cut down on the nicknames. Don't be so hostile with them, and curse less. So tone it down a notch. From a blazing fire to a small flame. Remember, my love for you is never in doubt. I only want what's best for you. I have allies, people I trust, though I am not so sure how I got them to stay. I know if I can do it, you can too. I just know it. I am now heading back home to the warmth of my bed. As I scale the buildings, I can hear the sirens approaching. The ghost of my mother stands proud in the sky. I hope she still believes what I do is the right thing. I wish you luck at this training camp. I hope it all goes well. Keep me updated and train your hardest. I know you will be something great someday soon. My sweet, angry angelic devil, I love you, don't you forget it. Best regards, your one and only, the one who stole your heart. Katsuki's response letter. Dear Sunshine, love of my life. I have only arrived recently, though I already miss your voice. I am as good as you can be after training hard a whole day. The moon will sing songs for me just like you do. I love you like the sun, and I await my awesome return. I am not so sure how you write so poetically, but I'll have to take some lessons from you when I'm home. Don't worry, my love for you will always remain. It's like I am a bird and you are an arrow. You shot me down and you stay inside my heart. Now that I think about it, that doesn't sound as sweet and nice as I had intended. My friends are currently trying to figure out what I am writing, and Hitoshi is trying not to laugh since that idiot knows. See, I used his name. I'll be home soon. We'll go to your favorite Katsudon shop and after that we'll watch the sunset from the top of your building. Thank you for all your encouragement, my love, my sunshine, you brighten my world. Best regards, your one and only, the one whose heart you stole. 3 days later, Izuku was drinking tea with Nezu when it happened. Nezu grinned. So, Izuku Shigaraki, what you are saying is you do not want to put anyone in danger because your father is all for one. Yeah, only he calls me Izuku Shigaraki, Izuku says grimly. My real name is Izuku Midoriya. Oh yes, the one who was kidnapped. I do hope you did not suffer the same things as the body that was found did. Oh, and do you have an immortality quirk? Nezu says with a questioning look. Izuku looked at the cup of tea in his hands. Well, for starters, I am not immortal, though I used a quirk to make that body, and it was a replica of my body at the time. While I was with my father I was tested on, and I think they used my DNA to make the Nomu we have been facing. Nezu continues now, very unclearly intrigued because you can't tell anything from his face. I see, well, I am sorry you went through that. What is your quirk, by the way? Oh, my quirk lets me steal quirks from anyone, even if they are dead, and it amplifies it, so much so that sometimes I can't use it because it is so powerful. Unlike my father, I cannot give back the quirk once it is stolen. I was never properly diagnosed, and my quirk never got a name, so that's kinda it. Izuku shrugs, but then continues. I was going to ask you a favor. Nizi nods and sips his tea. Ah yes, the reason you came. You do not want to put any of your friends in danger, so until your father has been defeated, let me guess, you want to stay in UA and have the school protect you. I knew you would understand. Yes, that is why I am here. I just need some place where I can crash on UA grounds and protection if my father decides to attack. I figured since this is a hero school this would be the perfect place. Izuku takes a sip of his tea. Well, that sounds good, however, I would like something in return. I do not take favors as a free paid job. Nezu says with a sickening smile. Oh, what would you like in return? Izuku asked hesitantly. I want you to become my student. I see great potential in you. And you know, I did my research on you. I am sorry for what is about to happen. I simply do not know whether I can trust you or not. I have a feeling that I can, however, I would like to take the necessary precautions. Izuku sat and listened. He was confused, and although he didn't have the power to speak, he felt fine. Well, other than the dizzy feeling he had, but that was because he hadn't taken any of his iron pills recently since he was out of them and currently on the run. With his VWD, this made him dizzy sometimes and... Oh, and Izuku, a good name for your quirk in my opinion, would be expropriate. The camp had only started a few days prior. Bakugo was kidnapped. His student was kidnapped by the League of Villains, the very villains who attacked his class at the USJ. Aizawa was currently getting ready for the conference, the one that would serve as a distraction, so they could rescue his student. He couldn't help but wonder how the villains managed to find them. The only people who knew the location were those at the camp plus Nezu, not even his husband knew. So then that meant either they were being followed, tracked, which is very unlikely. Or, the more likely scenario, someone at the camp told the League. Now the question was who? Who was a mole? Who was the traitor? Oh, and Izuku, a good name for your quirk in my opinion, would be expropriate. That's the last thing Izuku remembers before he ends up in his mind. He was in some kind of dreamlike state. He looked around the torn room. Where am I? He thought, and then he saw it. His father. Izuku's eyes widened. Had Nezu given him to his father? Or was this a dream, because it felt like one? It could also be a side effect of whatever drug Nezu used on him. His father sat in a chair across from a white-haired man. They hadn't seen him. Izuku takes a step forward, and as soon as he does, both figures disappear. He sits up with a gasp. Ah, you're up. Welcome back to the land of living, Izuku Midoriya. Nezu says that from in front of him, they were in a white, cell-like room. Izuku takes a second to process where he was, and he winces at the bright white light. Where am I? Good question. You are in a psych ward. Nezu says with a wide grin. A what? Wait, why? Nezu stands up and turns to the door. A psych ward. And once he finishes, the lights go out. Izuku is pushed backwards. Moments later, he sits up with a gasp again. What the hell? He holds his hands to his head. I made Katsuden. Katsuki yells from the kitchen. Izuku groggily walks toward the sound. Kachan, I had the strangest. Izuku steps into the kitchen, and then he sees it. His father was sitting at the table as Katsuki cooked. Dream. Izuku, you good son. His father says with a smirk. Izuku quickly goes to protect Katsuki. He stands in front of him, arms extended defensively. Why the fuck are you here? What do you mean, Izuku? Comes the voice of his boyfriend from behind him. But it sounds off. Was his voice always that deep? Izuku turns only to see that Katsuki has a crazy wide grin on his face. What's wrong? Katsuki says, stepping forward. This movement makes Izuku step back, but he missteps and falls. He falls for a while. He sits up, feeling sweaty and breathing heavily. It was a nightmare. He looked around. He was in a bland room. It had a bed which he was in, a desk, a drawer, a closet, a door, and a window. It was bright out, daytime. Izuku walks to the desk as he sees a note on it. The note reads, "Dear Izuku, I am sorry for knocking you out, but it was a necessary precaution. I have found nothing wrong with having you stay at UA, so I will allow it. A student in Class 1A, Katsuki Bakugo, was kidnapped by an organization called the League of Villains, who I am thinking are tied to your father. The only reason I am telling you this is because, from looking into your past, I found that Bakugo used to be a friend of yours before the whole kidnapping. However, do not worry, we rescued him and he is unscathed. Because of this incident, I have decided to implement dorm rooms for the safety of the students. I have left a map of the school on the other side of this message. Your dorm is circled in green. Your dorm is a part of the 1A dorms, as I know you are near their age, and you know Bakugo. I also trust their teacher the most. I will ensure that the students stay out of your way. You can join them and be around them if you would like, but you can also stay away from them completely. Since you are now my student, I would like you to come to my office every Monday-Wednesday from 1 to 5, bring an empty notebook, a pencil, and anything else that you would like. Within reason, of course. I will let my staff know about you. I will not tell them much, only that you are in danger from a powerful villain and that in the event of a villain attack that at least one of them is to protect you. Something I believe I should also mention is that your father was incarcerated. This does not mean our deal is off because there are still wanted posters with your name, and I am guessing the League of Villains will be after you, as they worked for him. Sincerely, Principal Nezu. Izuku turned the note over to see where he was. His dorm was on the 4th floor next to Katsuki's. He checked for Shinso's dorm only to be disappointed when he saw it was on the 2nd floor. Too bad he wasn't closer. Izuku then remembered the part of the note that said Katsuki was kidnapped. The house was quiet. Bakugo sat on the couch, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the muted television. The news played footage of the recent raid and the incarceration of All for One, Izuku's father. But he wasn't watching. His mind replayed the events. The League, the rescue, All Might's final stand. There was a knock on the door, and his mother went to answer it. Moments later, she yelled to him, "Katsuki, get in here." He entered the room to find Aizawa and All Might standing in the entryway. His father's polite nod contrasted with his mother's scrutinizing gaze. "Hello," Aizawa began, "we're here to discuss the UA's new dorm system. Given recent events, the school believes it's the best way to ensure student safety." Bakugo's jaw tightened. "So, you're locking us up?" All Might stepped forward, his tone gentle. "It's not about confinement. It's about protection and unity. We want to keep you safe." His mother scoffed and turned to Katsuki. "Maybe if you'd been more vigilant, you wouldn't have been taken in the first place." "Mom," Bakugo snapped. She waved him off, then turned back to the pros. "Yeah, I'll get this kid in a dorm. Anything to get him out more." Aizawa nodded. "We'll have the dorms ready soon. Be prepared to move in a few days." As they left, All Might paused beside Bakugo. "If you ever need to talk." Bakugo looked away. "I'm fine." And with that, they left. After a minute, he opened his messages and typed out, "Kachan. Are you alive? Green bean. Yeah, you, Kachan. OBV. Green bean. Good, I'm glad. Did you like my letter? I enjoyed yours less than 3. Kachan. Of course I fucking did. I bet you adored mine. They're putting us in dorms. Aizawa and fucking All Might came over. Green bean. Yeah, Nezu told me. My room's next to yours. Kachan. Fucking, rat god, did that. Huh, green bean. Looking forward to seeing you. We get to live together. Kachan. Okay, well, see you in a few days. Green bean. My stuff wasn't in my old place. Did you take it? Did someone rob it, or did the ducklings get it? Kachan. Ducklings, they're worried about you. Shinso as well. Green bean. Don't tell Hitoshi, I want to do it. I'm gonna surprise him when he gets into his dorm. Kachan. WTV. Green bean. I'm gonna go see if I can get my stuff back. Bye Kachan. Kachan. Bye, Izu. Shinso adjusted the strap on his duffel as he stepped through the dorm's front door. Aizawa had told him his room was on the 2nd floor, and that his belongings had been delivered early. He didn't expect the common room to fall completely silent when he walked in. Why does everyone look like they've seen a ghost? He asked, brows furrowed. We've just been talking about one, Kaminari said with a shrug. Okay, but I want to know who that is, Mina said annoyedly. Don't mind them, Iida said quickly, waving his arms. They're investigating a student who supposedly lives here with us but hasn't been seen and is not a part of our class. Oh, Shinso muttered. Weird. He walked into his room and set down his stuff, not a second later, there was a knock on his door. Come in. A head of green curls. Freckles. Green eyes. Izu. Shinso said, stunned. Shinso. Izuku yelled, bolting toward him with far too much energy for someone who had ghosted the world for weeks. You're here? Shinso asked in surprise. Yup. How? I am Nezu's student in exchange for Ua protecting me from my father, he said, making a cat-like face. Hitoshi's eyes widened slightly, but he stayed focused. Your dad? Oh, right, yeah, my dad is all for one. I know I mentioned he was evil in the past, but it's okay if you forgot. Izuku said with a nervous grin. Hitoshi looked unimpressed that Izuku would think he wouldn't remember something so important about his friend. No, I didn't forget. Wait, all for one. The villain who ended All Might's career. The one my dad has been discussing with Tsukauchi all this time. He said, stricken. Izuku winced. Yeah, that one. Hitoshi blinked at him for a long moment. Izu. What the hell? Okay, but, hear me out, Izuku said quickly, holding his hands up. I didn't know until, a few weeks ago. And Nezu said if I agreed to be his private student, he'd make sure I was safe from him. Hitoshi opened his mouth, then closed it. Okay, sure, but seriously, the rat god. Honestly, that's weirdly on brand for your life. Thanks, I think. Izuku beamed. A sudden creak made them both glance towards the door, where a big portion of Class 1A had gathered. Nobody said anything for a beat. Then Kaminari gave a little wave. Hey, Toshi, who's your green bean friend? Izuku froze. Hitoshi, deadpan as always, looked at the crowd and then back at his friend. He was nervous, but he wouldn't let the class know, as that would only bring Izuku more suspicion. Well, this is my friend. He is going to be staying at Ua in our dorms. He is Principal Nezu's student. Mina walked closer to the front of the group. So what's your name, Green Bean? Izuku was like a deer caught in headlights, he just wanted to disappear. Why were they focusing on him? Oh, right, his name, what is his name? You can call him Zuku, Bakugo said, shoving his way to the front of the group. Zuku, Mina echoed. Just, Zuku, that's your name. Yeah, Izuku said quickly, slapping on a smile that was almost too cheerful. Zuku, just Zuku, are you guys friends? Juro muttered, referring to Bakugo and Zuku. You live here? Yaoyorozu asked. I do now, Izuku replied, shrugging. Wait, you're the fourth-floor ghost. Uraraka half yelled. I knew I saw someone up there during move-in. I'm not a ghost, Izuku said quickly. Just a guy, living in a dorm. Normal. Nothing secret about me. Nope. You're friends with Shinso? Shiro asked. Yup. How long? A while. We met at cat cafe. Shinso covered his face with one hand. He means school, Shinso muttered. We went to school together. You said cat cafe, Kaminari pointed out. I like cats, Izuku snapped. Mina narrowed her eyes. Wait a sec. Bakugo quickly stepped in front of Izuku. Alright, show's over. Mystery solved. Zuku is real, not a ghost, not a villain, not a vigilante, and he's not here to steal your shoes. Now leave. Wait, are you sure? Sato started. Yes, Shinso and Bakugo said at the same time. The class hesitated, then began to scatter under the glares of the two boys. Once the last student left, Izuku sagged dramatically against the doorframe. That was so stressful. You were the worst liar I've ever met, Hitoshi deadpanned. I panicked, and you didn't help. I saved you. Hitoshi deadpans again. You mean I saved him? Bakugo mutters from the corner, still standing between Izuku and where the rest of the class had been. His eyes flicked to Hitoshi, then back to Izuku. Dumbass forgot his own name. I did not. Okay. Maybe. Izuku flashes a sheepish smile. Bakugo rolls his eyes, but it's softer than it should be. Next time, prep a fake name before meeting people. I didn't think I'd have to talk to them. Izuku flops dramatically onto the bed. You would think I would be better at this after all the identities I have. You did great, really, Hitoshi says sarcastically. Izuku sticks his tongue out at him. Whatever. Then he perks up. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Nezu finalized my schedule. You have a schedule. Bakugo raises a brow and leans against the wall, arms crossed. Izuku nods. Yep, I'm going to take lessons with him on Mondays, Wednesdays, and I'm working at the Vigilant Cat on Thursdays, Saturdays from 11 to 9. Bakugo's eyes narrow slightly as Izuku and Hitoshi trade playful jabs. You ever gonna tell the class you're taking, or should I just wear a damn sign? Izuku blinks, then snickers. Jealousy doesn't suit you, Kachan. Bakugo huffs, grabbing Izuku by the wrist and tugging him out of the room. Come on, it's late. Hitoshi lifts a hand. See you, drama magnet. Night, Toshi. Izuku and Katsuki walk side by side down the quiet hallway. Their footsteps are soft on the floor, just the faint hum of dorm lights overhead. I didn't mean to stress you out, Izuku says, glancing sideways. I know this whole thing is complicated. Katsuki sighs and nudges his arm. You didn't. You're just a lot. But you're my lot. Izuku smiles warmly, nudging back. Thanks for everything, Kachan. Always. Are you doing okay, though? With the kidnapping and everything. Izuku looks like he blames himself for not saving him. They stop at their doors, right next to each other. Katsuki glares slightly at him. Don't you dare blame yourself for this shit. I am okay. I am not a villain, and I am alive. There is no way you could have done anything about it with everything happening. It's all okay now. Izuku stays silent before nodding and staring into Katsuki's eyes. Night, Kachan. Night, Izu. Izuku lingers a second before ducking into his room. The door clicks shut, and Katsuki stands there for a moment longer, looking at it. He sighs and enters his dorm. Finally, things seem to be settling down after everything. Ah, Izuku. Glad you could make it, Nezu greeted with a warm smile, though his eyes had the usual calculating sharpness. He gestured to a chair across from him. Have a seat. I trust your accommodations have been satisfactory. Izuku nodded. Yes, thank you. Everything's fine so far. Nezu's eyes twinkled as he began to speak. Good. Now, let's talk. We need to get a proper understanding of your potential and limits. You're more than capable of achieving great things, but we need to work out a method of training that's tailored to you. Izuku sat down, trying not to fidget too much. He was used to being the one asking questions, not answering them. But he knew that this was important. So, how does it work? I mean, how do we even begin? Nezu folded his hands together thoughtfully. I want to start with the basics, Izuku. But first, I am going to have you do a few tests to see where your learning level is at. Nezu reached into a drawer behind his desk and pulled out a slim tablet. He handed it to Izuku. The screen lit up with a series of icons, math, logic puzzles, strategic simulations, and even ethics scenarios. These are not just academic tests, Nezu explained, tapping the screen. They're designed to evaluate how you think, how you react under pressure, how you process information, and how adaptable you are. Consider it an all-around assessment, mental, emotional, and strategic. Izuku blinked. So, like a psychological profile. In part, Nezu said with a small nod. But also more than that. We're trying to map the way you approach the world. Your pattern recognition, your empathy, your decision-making, your intuition. All of that helps determine the best training method for you. After all, raw power is one thing, but you and I both know there's more to being a hero than that. Izuku nodded. Right, I'll do my best. I'm counting on it, Nezu said cheerfully, though his gaze was sharp. You may not be part of Class 1A, but that doesn't mean your path is any less important or any less dangerous. The weight of that statement sank in as Izuku turned his attention to the tablet. The first test loaded a complex branching logic puzzle that required him to direct virtual civilians to safety during a mock villain attack. Nezu stood and walked to the far side of the room, leaving Izuku to work in silence, though he kept an eye on the progress. The minutes ticked by. Izuku moved from test to test, absorbed in the scenarios. The puzzles were intricate and mentally taxing, some designed to mislead, others to be emotionally disoriented. One scenario even mirrored the Kamino incident, and Izuku had to pause briefly, his breath catching before forcing himself to continue. After what felt like hours, the final test ended, and the screen faded to black. Nezu padded back over, taking the tablet. He hummed as he reviewed the results in real time. "Fascinating," he said. "You're quick, sometimes too quick. Your emotional intelligence is quite high, though you second-guess yourself under pressure. And you're prone to sacrificing your advantage for the sake of others." Izuku frowned. "Is that a bad thing?" "No," Nezu said simply. "But it's a vulnerability. And vulnerabilities are exploitable, which is why we'll train to turn that into a strength." He set the tablet down and looked Izuku in the eye. "Starting tomorrow, you'll begin personalized lessons, part theory, part combat strategy." Izuku nodded, his posture straightening. "Okay. Good." Nezu smiled, but this one had steel behind it. "Because you're not just here to grow stronger. You're here to prepare for what could be coming." Izuku nodded in response, and with that, the meeting concluded. Sing-Song leaned against the edge of the rooftop. "It's been too long since we've had a proper group patrol," she said, glancing at the others with a small grin. Illustrator adjusted her hood and sighed, seriously. Between shifts at the Vigilant Cat, solo patrols, everything else that was happening, plus Izuku's new lessons, we've barely had time to breathe together. I missed this. It's quieter, somehow, when we're all together," Verdant said as he watched the streets below them. Cub was lounging on the ledge next to Sing-Song. "It's quiet now, but something's about to happen. You feel it too, right?" Misty, crouched beside Illustrator, flicked a pebble off the roof. "Yeah, I heard from my contact that it's the Shihasaikai. Heroes are planning a raid soon. For a girl." Illustrator's voice tightened. "Yeah, a little girl. That's what bothers me." "Yeah, me too. You don't think they got someone new?" "Right," Sing-Song said, her usual warmth fading. For a moment, the group fell silent. Memories lingered in the space between Celeste and Tango, cold rooms, masked faces, voices that stripped away their names. Cub broke the silence. She nudged Sing-Song. "What do you mean, Sing-Song? Did you two investigate them?" The illustrator answers for her friend, something like that. "What do you mean?" Verdant says suspiciously. "That girl," Sing-Song began, "she might be a victim in this whole mess. If it's who we think it is, then the Shihasaikai might be after her blood and the power of her quirk." She turned to Illustrator, who nodded in silent agreement. Misty crossed their arms. "Who exactly are we talking about here? You two seem to know more than you're letting on." Illustrator hesitated. Her gaze flickered toward Sing-Song before she spoke. We're part of the Shihasaikai's experiments. Sing-Song and I were assigned as a pair. Number 8. I was the test subject. She was the guard. They used us. There were 10 pairs in total, each with a guard and a test subject. We were trained in their ways, forced to work with them. I couldn't do much to stop it. Not until Lavender came. Tango sighed, clearly upset about what had happened. Illustrator continued the thought. My sister, as I now know. She saved us, pulled us out of there, but even after escaping, they're still coming after us. After me, especially. I was one of the subjects they were experimenting on for the quirk-erasing drugs. The others fell silent. Misty, always the quiet observer, leaned forward, and now they're after you again. They want to finish what they started. Sing-Song's voice was cold, the anger beneath it clear. They don't care who they hurt in the process. The progress they made with those drugs was significant. They want us back to perfect it, though it's mainly Cell Illustrator since she has the creation quirk. And if they have to use Eri to get us back, they will. You've trained, you've grown stronger since then. But it's not just about you anymore, is it? They have Eri now, and you two know too much. They're not going to stop until they get what they want. Verdant said, looking worried. Cub's gaze narrowed. We can't let them win. If they're planning something with Eri, we need to act before they get any further. Sing-Song stood straighter, her resolve unwavering. Exactly. We know their methods, their tactics. And now we have an opportunity to stop them before they can do more damage. But we need to move fast. Heroes are going to raid the Shi Hasaikai soon, maybe we can join in the raid. Illustrator took a breath, her fingers tapping against the roof. We'll help, however we can. This is already personal enough. Misty stood up, glancing at the others with a grim determination. Let's get to work, then. We have a raid to prepare for. Verdant gave a nod. Let's make sure they don't get away with this. The flashing red and blue lights were bright against the alley walls as Aizawa watched the last officer shut the car doors. He didn't expect company, but he wasn't surprised, either. You've got timing, Aizawa said dryly, coming to a stop. Verdant gave a short nod. I need to talk to you. Aizawa waited. The Shi Hasaikai raid. I want in. Aizawa raised an eyebrow. You've seen the files. No, but I've heard enough. What they're doing. It's not new. Not to me. I know what they're capable of. And yet you've never encountered them yourself. Verdant's jaw tightened slightly. Not directly, but people I care about have. They hurt them. That's enough. The way he said it, like there was something sharp buried just beneath the words, Aizawa noted it, and filed it away. This isn't a game, he said. You're not licensed. You're not official. I'm not asking to be, Verdant replied. Just let us help. Us, Aizawa asked. Verdant didn't flinch. Where I go, they go. Aizawa's brow twitched. The ducklings. He said it flatly, like he wasn't even surprised. Because he wasn't. They have names, you know, Verdant muttered. Don't need names to know they've been shadowing patrols, interfering in crimes, and way too much more, Aizawa replied. And not recklessly, but not quietly, either. They've saved people, so have I, Verdant said. I never said you didn't. Then Aizawa asked, not accusatory, just matter of fact, you wouldn't happen to be Izuku Midoriya, would you? It was slight, the brief flicker in Verdant's posture, the pause before he answered. Who? Aizawa didn't push, just waited in case the kid changed his mind. Right. Another few seconds passed before he spoke again. This isn't just about stopping a villain. It's a full-scale operation. Dangerous. Coordinated. Some of the best pros are involved. You bring your team in, it's not just a side mission. You're all in the line of fire. Verdant met his eyes, steady. Then that's where we belong. And it's not just my team. Aizawa's gaze narrowed slightly. Who else would join? I'm inviting the other vigilantes, too. Not just the ducklings. There are people in this city, people who know the shadows better than anyone else. Most of them would give anything to stop what's happening in that place, and to that girl. Whether you bring us in or not, I'll still bring them. For a moment, Aizawa said nothing. Then, you're talking about rallying half the underground. If that's what it takes. Aizawa studied him for a long moment, then turned and started walking. I'll get the details and give them to one of you the next time I see any of you. A shout of, thanks, came from behind him. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. Izuku sat in front of a monitor, typing commands with practiced ease. Beside him, Amane was doing the same, only more efficiently. You think they'll answer? Izuku asked. They always answer, Amane said with a soft grin. Most of them owe us. Or hate the Hasaikai enough to jump in without asking why. Izuku tapped a few keys. It should be good, okay. Start pinging the list. Their fingers moved rapidly as they wrote and encrypted the message. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. The message was sent to the Vigilante Discord. Now we wait, Misty said. And prep like hell. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. The message was sent to the Vigilante Discord. Saku sat cross-legged on her bed, headphones in, watching a video of an eagle diving for prey in slow motion. Her sketchbook lay open beside her, filled with half-drawn diagrams of wings, claws, and tail musculature, all practice for shifting. Her phone buzzed. She blinked down at it. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, Force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at ######## on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion is mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Her breath caught in her throat. She reread the message twice, fingers frozen above the screen. It was real now, not practice, not imagining. A real raid, real danger, real people. She chewed her lip, tail flicking out and coiling around one of her legs tighter this time. Protective reflex. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Then, shakily, she sent back a thumbs up emoji. That was all she could manage. She curled up against her blanket, tail wrapping tighter. I don't have to be brave the whole time, she whispered to herself. Just long enough. Violet was perched in the back of her truck, legs hanging off the edge, a worn music player in her lap. A pair of old earbuds dangled from her ears as a mellow tune played, barely audible over the sounds of traffic behind the cafe. She was halfway through sorting a new shipment of coffee beans when her phone buzzed once, twice, then with a triple ping. She paused, lifting the phone. The screen lit up with a message on the encrypted Vigilante server. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at #### on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion is mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Her music faded out as her breath caught. Her hand trembled slightly as she read it again, slower this time. Shi Hasaikai. She didn't need to scroll for details. Just the name made her stomach twist. Her hand moved on instinct, brushing over her mask sleek, violet trimmed, with the voice modulator nestled beneath. A second later, she tapped her response into the group chat with 2 fingers. Count me in. Time to clip some wings. A beat. Then she opened her contacts and pulled up a recording of a soft whistle with 3 distinct notes. Little unicorn, she whispered under her breath. We're gonna get you out. The smile she wore then wasn't sweet. It was steel. Bloodmoon perched silently on the edge of a rusted fire escape, the city's restless glow casting long shadows beneath her. Her black gloves flexed around the small phone screen, the message from the ducklings blinking softly. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at #### on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion is mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Edison's mismatched eyes flicked up briefly, staring into the darkened streets below. The Shi Hasaikai. The name alone twisted her stomach into a familiar knot. She knew what they did. She'd run, fought tooth and claw to escape their grasp as a child. That nightmare still shadowed her every step. The message was signed, The Ducklings. She recognized the names, some of those faces she'd seen before on the encrypted vigilante channels, voices in the chaos of the city's underground. Names she didn't know well, never met, but ones she'd come to respect. She tapped her lip with a gloved finger, an involuntary twitch of sarcasm brushing her expression. Look at them, calling themselves a duck gang, she muttered quietly. Cute. If they want to take on She, they're gonna need more than cute nicknames. Her fingers hovered over the screen, hesitant. Joining a group like that was no small commitment. She wasn't one for trusting others, especially strangers. Still, this wasn't just about her. If they were after the same target, maybe this was the break she'd been waiting for. Bloodmoon pulled out a small, battered notebook from her pocket, scribbling a quick note in sharp, precise handwriting. I'm in. Send coordinates and protocols. She stuck the note into her pocket, eyes scanning the horizon as she faded back into the shadows. This raid wasn't just a fight, it was a chance to finally face the ghosts she'd run from for years. The soft hum of pink neon reflected off the walls of the cramped room where Pretty Cute Heart sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by an organized chaos of gadgets and medical supplies. She absent-mindedly clicked a small pink hair clip between her fingers, a tracker she had just finished charging. Her face mask hid most of her expression, but her sharp eyes flicked toward the screen as the encrypted message buzzed in. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, Meet at hash 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 on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. She bit her lip thoughtfully, then flicked her gaze toward the row of pink-painted weapons lined neatly along the edge of her desk. Bats, knives, even a modified taser all ready to go. But it wasn't just a fight, it was a rescue mission, and that made her heart tighten. Pretty cute Heart's fingers brushed over the pink purse at her side, Percy, as she fondly called it, where she kept bandages, syringes, and a small med kit. Gotta be ready for anything, she whispered fiercely, the soft, motherly edge sharpening into determination. Her mind raced through possibilities. Who would need patching up? Who would be caught out and vulnerable? If things went south, she'd be there, swift, aggressive, protective. With a gentle tap on her phone screen, she replied in quick, concise text. Count me in. We'll bring backup med supplies. Need details on possible injuries expected. Then, with a decisive nod, she stood up, adjusting her knee pads and slinging Percy over her shoulder. Pink tracker clips would be distributed soon, her little way to keep tabs on the team, even if they weren't all in the same place yet. We're gonna get through this, she murmured to herself. No one's getting left behind. Rokio balanced a basket heavy with fresh vegetables and canned goods in one hand, the other scrolling through her phone as she waited in line at the grocery store. Her blue and brown jacket was casually draped over one shoulder, horns faintly glistening, a subtle sign her water reserves were running low from a long day. The message popped up, glowing in her hand. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at hash 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 on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Her lips twitched into a smile as she flicked her gaze up to the board cashier, then back to the screen. Another gang playing hero, she thought, voice sharp but hidden beneath a casual tone. Cute, she muttered quietly, almost amused. The dryness on her skin itched slightly, but she ignored it, focusing on the bigger picture. She tapped out a quick reply with one hand, careful not to drop the basket. Count me in. Send details. I don't do surprises. She tossed a few bills on the counter, collected her groceries, and slipped out the door, her mask settling firmly back in place. Charismatic and unreadable, as always ready to play the part. Glimmer was curled up on the rooftop ledge, her dark blue hood pulled low over her strawberry blonde hair that looked brown under the moonlight. The bright yellow boots dangled over the edge, catching faint glints of street lamps below. Her fingers fiddled with the star necklace that always gave her a little comfort. Her phone buzzed, the screen lighting her pale face in the quiet night. She blinked, then grinned wide, maroon lipstick stretching into a smile. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at hash 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 on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Okay, this is it. She whispered excitedly to herself, voice light and bright. The thrill of a real raid buzzing in her veins, the chance to actually do something big. She bounced lightly on her toes, feeling the heat from her quirk gently warming the air around her. Ambush, speed, surprise, she was ready. No time to be just a kid tonight. Tapping a quick reply with a confident grin, she added a little sparkle of enthusiasm. I'm there. Let's shake things up. Her eyes flicked toward the dark streets below. This time, it wouldn't just be a game. Kid leaned back against the graffiti-covered wall of the alley, their fingers idly tracing patterns on the cracked concrete. Lavender lounged nearby, flipping a pocket knife between her fingers, eyes sharp beneath her messy lilac hair. Kit's phone buzzed. They pulled it out, the glow illuminating their smirking face under the gas mask hanging loose around their neck. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at hash 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 on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Kit's grin grew wider as they tapped a quick reply. Count me in. I'm good at hiding and worse at being seen. They looked over at Lavender, eyes gleaming behind the mask. Hey, you come into this raid your sister's gang organized. The teasing was casual but sharp. Lavender smirked, flicking the knife closed with a click. Might. Depends if it's worth the hassle. She paused, then nodded. Besides, wouldn't wanna miss watching you crash the party. Kit chuckled softly, the thrill of the upcoming chaos settling between them. Oh, it'll be a show, all right. The faint hum of the city was muffled beneath the thick hood of Azur's jacket. Their fingers were wrapped tightly around the edges of their phone, eyes scanning the text with practiced calm. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Azur's thumb hovered for a moment before sending a brief confirmation. I'll be there. They slipped the phone into their pocket and pulled their hood tighter, casting a glance toward the shadows where a few passing figures hurried by. A flash of concern crossed their usually impassive face, not for themselves, but for those who might get hurt. Azur flexed their fingers, feeling the cool moisture they could conjure under their skin. They wouldn't be on the front lines. That wasn't their style, but if anyone they cared about was in danger, they'd move like lightning to protect. No one needed to know. They preferred it that way. Sombra's eyes flicked to the glowing screen, shadows pooling beneath them. The message was blunt, a call to arms, the kind she'd been dodging but couldn't ignore forever. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Her fingers hovered, then typed out a terse reply. I'll be there. She put the phone down and let the silence wrap around her like a cloak. The game was changing. Heroes were pushing harder, and the streets were about to burn brighter than ever. Sombra didn't do loyalty. She did survival. But tonight, maybe survival meant something different. She glanced toward the cracked window, the city lights flickering like distant fireflies. Time to move. Silver stood in the narrow hallway of his apartment building, the fluorescent lights above flickering. He had just returned from his night patrol. Another petty robbery stopped, another civilian ushered home safely. He unstrapped his silver-plated shoulder guard with a sigh, the weight of the armor symbolic of the burden he'd chosen. His flip phone buzzed in his utility belt pouch, old-school tech he stubbornly clung to. He flipped it open with a clack. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, meet at on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. Silver furrowed his brow at the name. The ducklings, he muttered, raising an eyebrow. He didn't recognize it, but the words Shi Hasaikai made his blood run cold. That group had no honor, no sense of justice. He'd investigated whispers of their actions once but found only silence and shattered glass. The message stirred something in him, the heat of duty burning behind his ribs. He looked down at his arm, the bracers still scratched from tonight's scuffle. With a slow breath, he reached for the polishing rag near the sink and started scrubbing. A smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. Discretion mandatory. He could do discretion. He could also turn steel pipes into silver spears if things got ugly. All right, ducklings, he said to no one. Let's see what you're made of. He tucked the phone into his belt. The soft hum of a half-broken fan filled the dim room as Astral blinked up at his second-hand laptop, a cracked mug of black coffee going cold beside him. He rubbed his temples. The message lit up in the corner of his screen, tucked between junk pings and flagged traffic from random hero chat boards. It was sent through the encrypted vigilante server, same one he usually muted. Incoming op. Shi Hasaikai. Big raid. Heroes are in. We're going in too. Need extra eyes, force, and anyone else. If you're willing, Meet at ######## on September 10th at 12:30 p.m. Discretion mandatory. Watch the streets and the skies. The ducklings. The ducklings, seriously, he muttered aloud, pushing his chair back with a loud scrape. He scrolled up to confirm what he already suspected. A dozen usernames, almost all obviously underage. Why are they all kids? And mostly girls. Astral scowled, hands already flying across his keyboard as he backtraced the message. He used his quirk to look into those who had responded on the server. Just enough to check the sources, though not enough to freak them out. He respected boundaries. When he felt like it, he sighed. Of course they're taking on the Hasaikai. Of course. He leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling, jaw clenched. Gonna get themselves killed. He opened the reply window, cracked his knuckles, and started typing. Yo, Astral here. Appreciate the invite, but I'm not running into a death trap with a bunch of high schoolers. No offense. You seem competent. Just also reckless. I've got eyes on the area already and I'll monitor cams and security traffic where I can. If it gets bad, I'll patch in and do what I can remotely, cut some locks, kill a power grid or something, but that's it. You're all flying too close to the sun. Don't burn out before you hit your 20s. Astral. He hit send, then closed the tab before he could second guess it. The raid was happening with or without him. At least some heroes would be watching. Izuku checked the Discord. 11 out of the 32 people on the server had responded to the message, and the majority of them were joining the raid. This of course made him happy, and he continued setting up his new room with a wide grin. This raid was going to be challenging, something bigger than many of the things that Izuku had come across while being a part of the Ducklings. And Izuku, well, he wasn't sure how exactly to feel about all of this. But he did know one thing. They're getting back that girl no matter the cost. The briefing room felt heavier than the concrete walls around it. Sir Night Eye stood at the front, his sharp gaze cutting across the gathered heroes and their interns. Papers and files were stacked neatly on the table, each stamped with the Hasaikai crest. The target is Chisaki Kai aka Overhaul, Night Eye said in a serious tone. We believe the girl in his custody, Eri, is the source of his quirk erasing bullets. The objective is clear. Secure the child and apprehend Chisaki. What kind of resistance are we expecting? Asked Rock Lock, arms folded. Plenty, Night Eye replied. The Hasaikai aren't simple thugs. They've been preparing for this. Chisaki himself will be the greatest threat. We need precision. Sloppiness could cost lives, so we just storm the place and save the girl. Najire asked. Night Eye's gaze hardened. Not just. Every move must be calculated. You'll follow your mentor's orders at all times. If you stray, Overhaul will exploit it. Silence settled over the room, broken only when Mirio spoke. We'll get her back, no matter what. A few heads nodded. Plans were made, routes drawn, and times set. By the time the meeting adjourned, the heroes walked out with the weight of what was coming pressing hard on their shoulders. The rooftops above the Hasaikai compound were cold and the battle ahead loomed over the group. Sing Song adjusted the strap of her mask and tapped the comm at her ear. Static. Then Misty's voice cut in, sharp and focused. Audio check. Ducklings, do you copy? Comms are fine. Nerves, less so, Tango said with a bit of a nervous tone in her voice. A few feet away, Illustrator sat cross-legged, sketchpad balanced on her knee. Her pencil moved quickly, each line shimmering faintly before fading. She wasn't bringing her drawings to life yet, just warming up. Loud and clear, Cub leaned against the ledge, arms folded, eyes fixed on the streets below. She looked calm, but Sing Song knew her well enough to spot the tension in her jaw. We don't have time for nerves, Cub muttered. That girl's depending on us. Sing Song exhaled slowly, letting the weight of it settle. Eri, the tiny face she had seen only once, haunted and afraid, flickered in her memory. Then we don't mess this up, she said firmly. Heroes are not, we move in before anyone else can. She deserves better than waiting. Misty's voice hummed again through the line. Lavender and Kit won't be able to make it, there was a Nomu attack in town. Also, I've got eyes on the perimeter. The pros are gathering, but they're not moving yet. You'll need to stay ahead of them if you don't want to get boxed out. Illustrator snapped her sketchbook shut and stood, slipping it into her bag. Okay, We should go now. We make our own opening. For a moment, the three of them stood together in the dark, the city humming quietly around them. No press, no agencies, no mentors, just a group of vigilantes about to throw themselves against one of the most dangerous villains in Japan. Sing Song tightened her gloves. Let's do this. The vigilante group moved out, and Verdant would meet them there. Cub's heart pounded in her ears as she crouched in the alley shadows. From here, they could all see the pro-heroes gathering at the compound's main entrance. Fatgum, Eraserneed, Rock Lock, Night Eye all waiting for the signal. Misty's voice buzzed sharp in her earpiece. Heroes are about to breach. The north wall is thinner, barely guarded. That's your opening. Copy, Cub muttered. Her stomach churned with adrenaline, but her legs moved anyway. Sing Song dashed across the pavement, red goggles glinting faintly in the low light. Illustrator followed, clutching her sketchpad like a lifeline. Cub brought up the rear, scanning corners, watching for any movement. The sound of splintering wood and a crash echoed from the compound's front. The heroes had begun their raid. Chisaki's men are scattering inside. Some heading your way. Expect contact, Misty warned. Sure enough, a door burst open down the alley. Two masked Hasaikai thugs stumbled out, weapons raised. They lunged, fists slamming forward with a force that rattled their bones. Behind them, Sing Song's voice rang out, a sharp note cut through the air as she sang, and the second thug's weapon jerked out of his hands, clattering to the ground. He stumbled as if invisible strings yanked him sideways. Illustrator's pencil tore across her page at the same moment. A gun appeared, she shot at the men. Keep pushing, Misty urged. The heroes are driving them inward. You'll need to cut across and get ahead if you want to get to Overhaul before they do. Then we don't stop, Cub said, steadying her stance. Water slammed into the hull, sharp and precise. Hurricane used her horns, sending a jet that split into multiple streams, knocking guards off their feet. Songbird dove through the torrent, wings slicing flames across the floor and ceiling, forcing enemies back against walls. Turtle leapt from the rafters mid-shift, claws extended, landing in panther form to pin two thugs to the ground. Her wings flared briefly before she reverted, fangs bared, breath heavy from the energy it took to keep transforming. Silver slammed a silver-plated wall between a charging group of enforcers and the smaller vigilantes, redirecting their momentum. Bloodmoon glided silently through the shadows, claws and knives cutting down anyone who slipped past Silver's defenses. Bloodmoon cut down another guard with anger. I fucking hate these guys, I hope I never have to come here again. The others agreed with the statement and the fight continued. Star spun in a blur, molten plasma fist smashing into the nearest opponents, headbutting and punching with unnerving speed. Azure followed her lead, electrified sticks and water balloons intercepting incoming projectiles and keeping Star safe. She ducked under a swinging pipe and sent a guard flying into the wall. Over comms, Misty's voice cut through the chaos. Left corridor blocked. Move right and advance 2 floors up Hurricane, your left flank is exposed. Silver supports Bloodmoon from the south. Star, Azure, holds the center line. Everyone else, push forward. Turtle's panther leaps distracted enemies just long enough for Hurricane's water jets to knock them down, and Songbird's flames created safe zones for Star and Azure to maneuver. The mixture was a storm of quirks, a battlefield where each vigilante shone in their own way, and yet moved as if connected by instinct. For a moment, it felt unstoppable. The hallway shook from distant clashes, but in this section, the chaos narrowed down to 4 figures facing one man. Eraserhead was already at the scene and he was already locked on Overhaul when they arrived. Overhaul's gaze landed on them, cold and calculating. Recognition flickered in his eyes as he saw Illustrator and Sing Song. He didn't waste words. Overhaul's quirk snapped into action. Objects and substances around him began to restructure, disintegrating anything that came too close. But Sing Song's telekinetic assault and Illustrator's creations forced him to split his attention, while Verdant made speedy attacks, anticipating Overhaul's counters. Sing Song's song rose, a sharp, commanding note that sent debris spinning toward Overhaul. Objects slammed into him, but he barely flinched, his quirk reshaping matter around him to block or redirect the attacks. Illustrator sketched quickly, summoning a spiked barrier between Sing Song and Overhaul, giving the vigilante space to strike. Then, Illustrator made a gun. Verdant Analyst's eyes tracked Overhaul's movements, he used his quirks to quickly strike and help his team. Eraserhead struck from above, scarf whipping around, aiming to pin Overhaul. The villain twisted, quirk active, disassembling the scarf before it could wrap around him, but the distraction was enough. Illustrator's gun got him, staggering him slightly. Sing Song's next note cut through the air, lifting a heavy crate and hurling it with telekinetic force. Overhaul blocked it mid-air, but the impact caused a ripple in his stance. Verdant saw it and acted immediately, projecting an energy pulse toward the floor beneath him, using a quirk he took along the way and forcing him to step back. The trio of vigilantes kept the pressure relentless. Sing Song's strings lifted smaller debris like whips, striking from multiple angles. Illustrator's creations twisted and shifted, walls forming, spikes rising, a cage that almost boxed Overhaul in. Every move forced him to react, splitting his attention and energy. Eraserhead circled him, trying to get a good view to use his quirk. Overhaul's eyes flicked to him, then to the other three. Finally the opening was made. Eraserhead used his quirk, taking away Overhaul's. Celeste shot the man with a tranquilizer and the man was out like a light. As they cuffed the man, Verdant saw her, the girl. She was trembling in a corner of the room. The compound was quiet now, the echoes of battle fading as the others defeated their enemies. Through the comms, Misty's calm voice rang out. All teams, status check. Confirmed clear. One by one, the other vigilantes responded. The Hurricane's voice came first. Clear. Enforcers neutralized. Minor injuries, nothing critical. Turtle added, panting slightly, same here. A few scratches, but stable. Star and Azure chimed in together, voices tight with relief, corridors secure. Everyone accounted for. Blood Moon and Silver confirmed from their positions, path cleared. Mini bosses neutralized. No further resistance. Sing Song tightened her grip on Eri, giving a small smile. You're safe now. We've got you. Illustrator knelt beside her, stone constructs forming a protective circle around them both. Verdant Analyst monitored Overhaul's restraints, making sure there were no surprises. Eraserhead kept an eye out. You kids did good, you saved her. Thank you. Verdant chuckled. Ah, is the Eraserhead thanking us? Eraser rolled his eyes at that but smiled fondly. Eri was now asleep and so Eraserhead took her in his arms to bring her to paramedics. The team slowly came together where they had started, catching their breath. The small victories, the teamwork, the strategy, the coordination hung in the air like a quiet celebration. For the first time since the raid began, the vigilantes allowed themselves a moment to breathe, to look around at their teammates, and to feel the weight of what they'd accomplished. They had come together, fought as one, and saved Eri. The raid had been brutal but they had succeeded. And in the quiet that followed, even amidst the smoke and rubble, there was a sense of relief, a sense of friendship forged in battle. Izuku collapsed onto his bed, his vigilante outfit folded neatly on the chair beside him. His body ached, muscles screaming after the raid, every bruise and cut a reminder of how close they had come to losing Eri. He pulled out his phone, Katsuki. He dialed. Nothing. Over and over. He tried calls, texts, even messages through their usual secure channels. Nothing. The phone stayed silent. No replies, no vibrations, no signs that Katsuki had even seen the attempts. By the end of the day, panic gnawed at him. He tried to check Katsuki's location but it had been disconnected, gone completely. His chest tightened. A cold, sinking feeling settled over him. Then the message appeared, simple, horrifying. Hello son. If you want your boyfriend back, come back to base. It wasn't from anyone he could fight or reason with. It was from his father. All for one. The weight of it hit him like a physical blow. Katsuki. His Katsuki. Gone. And the one who had orchestrated all this was taunting him, giving him a choice but there was no real choice at all. Izuku sat there, shaking, the room spinning around him. His phone felt heavier than ever. He swallowed hard, fingers tightening around it. He knew what he had to do. After a moment of thinking he pulled up Aizawa's contact. Izuku stared at his phone, thumb hovering over the send button. He knew he couldn't handle this alone, but he also couldn't risk anyone else being dragged into All for One's trap. With a deep, shaky breath, he typed the coordinates of his location and hit send. No message, no explanation, just the bare truth. For him, it was a precaution. For Aizawa, it was a silent cry for help. His body ached, and his mind buzzed with exhaustion, but there was no time to hesitate. Every second Katsuki was in danger made his chest tighten, his thoughts spiral. Expropriate was now a dull warning in the back of his mind. He had been careful not to overuse it recently, but now, there was no choice. Every quirk, every ability he'd honed, every ounce of strength he had left would have to carry him forward. He stood, legs unsteady, and secured the small bag of supplies he always kept for missions. Then, with a grim, determined breath, he stepped out into the night. The streets were quiet, eerily so, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Izuku didn't look back. There was no room for fear, no space for doubt. Katsuki needed him and he would not fail. The base loomed ahead, dark and foreboding. Every shadow seemed to pulse with malice, and the silence was deafening. Izuku's heart hammered in his chest, his hands trembling as he gripped the straps of his bag. He stepped inside. The air was thick, oppressive, carrying the faint, metallic tang of danger. And there he was, all for one, calm, seated in the shadows, as if he had been expecting Izuku all along. Which he had. "I see you've come. Alone," his father said, voice smooth and deadly. Izuku froze for a fraction of a second, mind racing. His chest felt tight, and the weight of responsibility crushed him. Katsuki was somewhere in this place. Somewhere. And he was running out of time. All for one's eyes gleamed as he leaned forward slightly. "If you want him back, you know what to do." Izuku's hands clenched, veins throbbing. He could feel the familiar hum of expropriate, begging to be used, but he fought it down. He tried to plan, tried to strategize, but the fear, the panic, the sheer pressure of the moment pressed in from all sides. He didn't want to go back to what his life had been. He had left for a reason. Then all of a sudden his father held his hand out, and there was Katsuki. He was tied to a chair, mouth covered with tape and staring at Izuku. Then came the realization that if he did nothing then Katsuki wasn't coming back. Not alive. The room erupted, shadows shifted, walls shook, and the battle began. Izuku's mind narrowed to one point. All for one, his father. In his fury, he unleashed everything he had, expropriate roaring to life for one final, desperate push. "You dare go against me?" His father's voice boomed, and all for one unleashed his own attack. Izuku's vision blurred with fury and pain. Every strike, every quirk he stole with expropriate burned through him, tearing at his body like fire. All for one smirked, taunting, "Are you sure you want to go against me when I hold someone so precious to you in the palm of my hand?" "No," Izuku muttered in horror as Katsuki was harshly pulled back to his father's hand. Katsuki could only stare into Izuku's eyes as all for one's hand became a sword, slicing into Katsuki's heart and killing him almost instantly. "No," Izuku cried out. He stared at the body as it fell off the sword and landed on the ground. Izuku stood in utter horror, and then looked up. He stared into all for one's eyes with bloody hatred and attacked. He used all of the remaining strength left in his body and fought. His father collapsed, defeated, his power gone, lifeless at Izuku's feet. But the victory was hollow. Every ounce of strength Izuku had used left him broken, limbs trembling, blood slicking his hands. His body ached as if every bone had been shattered, his chest heaving with ragged breaths. Pain seared through him, and the world tilted. He tried to move, to stand, but the effort nearly undid him. His mind swirled with guilt, grief, and the weight of what he'd lost. Katsuki was gone, and now he was alone. The sound of heavy boots echoed through the ruined hall. Aizawa appeared, eyes sharp, scarf at the ready, scanning the room. His gaze fell on the kid, trembling, and sitting against the wall like a broken statue. "Verdant?" Aizawa asked. He had learned his kid's identity, but at what price? What the hell happened? "You have to let me help you." Izuku's head snapped up, eyes wild. "Get away. Don't touch me." His voice cracked with anger, pain, and fear, every word a jagged edge. "You don't understand. You can't." Aizawa froze, finally noticing the two bodies, his heart breaking at the sight of his student. He stepped back, giving the boy space but not leaving him. "I'm not leaving." Izuku shook violently. Aizawa reached out instinctively but then Izuku bolted, staggering through the streets, barely aware of his injuries. Every breath was agony, Every step a struggle, but he ran. He didn't see the man follow. He had to be alone. Back at their meeting space, the vigilantes had been recovering from the raid when Eraserhead had contacted them asking if they had seen Verdant. As they hadn't, Eraserhead went to find him as Verdant had sent a mysterious location without any context. The comms buzzed to life. Misty's voice cut through first. Status: Hurricane, Turtle, Songbird, Bloodmoon, Glimmer, Azure, Silver, and the rest listened, hearts sinking, as Aizawa's heavy tone filled the room. "It's Verdant," he said. "He's alive, but severely injured. He's gone though. He ran after the fight. He doesn't want help, and he killed all for one, and his. Well, Katsuki Bakugo is also here and dead. It looks like he was a hostage." Quote, He killed all for one." Hurricane's voice trembled. "Yes," Aizawa confirmed. "But the cost? He's badly hurt, mentally and physically. We need to find him so he doesn't get worse." The vigilantes let the weight settle. Misty's calm voice reassured them over the comms. "He's still alive. That's what matters. Let's focus on finding him." 1 week later, with no sign of Verdant, Aizawa had taken steps for Eri. She was safe, officially adopted by him and Hizashi, a small beacon of stability in the chaos. But for the vigilantes, a shadow of worry hung over them. Their friend, their ally, he was out there, injured and alone. Half a year later, the Verdant Analyst was now assumed dead after a long time without a sign of him. The police had found that he had killed all for one after he had taken Katsuki Bakugo hostage and killed him. The case went cold after that, and everyone who knew Katsuki and Izuku, no matter what form, had a cloud hanging over them. A year had passed since the chaos, the fights, and the loss that had scarred them all. Life had changed in ways both subtle and profound, and yet the memories of what had been of the person they had lost and the battles they had survived lingered like the smell of a fart. Aizawa and Hizashi had discovered the true identities of the vigilante group who had once been named the Ducklings. The illustrator was Celeste Minksu, and Singsong was Tango Prisma. Misty was Amane Nakame, Cub was Irene Kindly, and last, the late Verdant Analyst, he was a young boy named Izuku Midoriya. For Hizashi, recognizing Tango's last name brought a shock that rattled him. His niece had been thought to be lost and his brother's family hadn't even cared. Once they learned who she was, they wanted nothing to do with her, leaving her to navigate a dangerous, chaotic world on her own. Aizawa and Hizashi stepped in, offering her the home and guidance she had never had. Celeste's path had been similarly rocky, passed from one uncaring relative to another, living without stability or love until the same guardians took her in. Under their care, both girls finally had a sense of belonging. By the end of that first year, life had begun to settle into a new rhythm. Tango, who had spent so long fighting and surviving, found a connection with Irene, who was now 17. The two quickly became inseparable and would eventually go on to get married and adopt a young girl named Jane. Amane, learning to trust others with their quirklessness and to lean on others, started a relationship with Celeste. Together, they formed bonds that went beyond friendship, eventually becoming the underground's new protectors, and took over the Vigilant Cat Cafe, running it smoothly and helping anyone who may need it. It was a safe haven for anyone and everyone. 3 years passed. The world moved forward, as it always does, and the four Tango, Celeste, Amane, and Irene had grown into capable, independent young heroes. They had earned their hero licenses and decided to form their own agency, the Ducklings, in honor of their old member, the Verdant Analyst, who they had lost forever. The agency reflected both their current experiences and their old ones. Illustrator and Misty handled the underground operations, investigating quietly, and using their unique skills to help those who had nowhere else to turn. Singsong and Cub took the public stage, demonstrating their heroism openly and earning recognition and respect in the eyes of civilians and fellow heroes alike. The Ducklings weren't just about work, however, they were about trust, family, and the unspoken memory of a friend lost. Together their agency had become the symbol of new beginnings. It showed people that even after starting rough they could still make it, that no matter who you are or how you start out, even what quirk you have or don't have, you can still change your future. Their friends and allies had grown as well. Shinso and Kaminari, still in their healthy relationship, had graduated and were flourishing in their careers. Eri, under the careful care of Aizawa and Hizashi, had finally found stability. The girl who had once been trapped, scared, and alone now had a family that loved her, heroes who protected her, and a life filled with possibility. Despite the passage of time, the world had not grown simpler. Yet for the ducklings, there was a sense of purpose and identity that had once seemed impossible. And now they had a new, old villain to face. The League. And yet, a shadow lingered over them. Izuku remained absent, presumed dead by everyone. Missions were completed with his memory in mind. Every success was bittersweet. Every victory carried a whisper of, what if? The agency's name, the Ducklings, wasn't just a tribute, it was a promise that they would carry forward what he had started, protect the people he had cared about, and honor the memory of a friend who had changed their lives. For Aizawa and Hizashi, the past years had been a mixture of joy and vigilance. They worked tirelessly at UA while raising Eri, balancing the responsibilities of mentorship, heroism, and parenthood. Watching over her, they sometimes thought of the others of Hitoshi, Tango and Celeste whom they had helped raise. Even in the quiet moments, when the world seemed to pause and the memories of the past pressed in, the Ducklings kept moving forward. 3 years had passed, and they were no longer the scared, uncertain vigilantes of old. They were heroes, a team, a family, and in their hearts, Izuku's memory remained a light guiding them through the shadows. I miss them, Izuku says, using one of his quirks to make a screen and watch his friends. He glances to the side where Katsuki's body lies in a tube. Izuku did everything in his power to try and make him come back. Nothing worked. There is knocking on the door. Come in. Izuku shouts and the door opens. Sir, there is someone here to see you. A guard says to Izuku. Who is it? Izuku asks as the door opens wider and someone walks in. Hello Scarlet, it's good to see you again. Another client for the Scarlet Death, he never gets a break, does he? Hello, how can I help you? The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Now we will see you in the next video.